South America. The people of South America believe in the existence of UFOs for several reasons. Firstly, in these countries, cultural heritage and traditions play an important role in society. In Peru and Bolivia, for example, ancient civilizations such as the Incas left behind many legends and artifacts that can be interpreted as evidence of contact with extraterrestrial beings. Local legends and myths often contain references to celestial beings and mysterious events, which makes people more trusting of the idea of contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations. It is important to note that some archaeological finds and historical structures, such as the Nazca lines in Peru, also contribute to such interpretations. Ancient petroglyphs and cave paintings discovered in various regions depict strange figures and objects that resemble modern UFOs. This evidence complements cultural traditions and increases belief in the possibility of such contacts. There have been numerous sightings of alien objects in Brazil and Uruguay even to this day. One famous case is the incident in Varginha, Brazil in 1996, where local residents claim to have seen a strange creature after a UFO crash. In Uruguay, military and civilian witnesses also repeatedly reported sightings of unidentified flying objects, leading to the creation of official research teams. Local residents and authorities in South America react to reports of UFOs with great interest. Research in this region has a significant impact on the global ufology community. Examples from Japan. The Japanese government has long denied the existence of UFOs, citing a lack of reliable evidence and fears of possible public panic. In addition, the government sought to maintain control over information to avoid any data leakage. However, Japanese pilots have repeatedly reported UFO sightings. One famous case occurred in 1986 when the crew of a Japanese cargo plane over Alaska observed 3 unidentified objects that accompanied them for 50 minutes. This incident received enormous attention and aroused the interest of both ufologists and the public. In 2020, the Japanese government's attitude towards UFOs has changed significantly. Defense Minister Taro Kono said the government will start taking UFO reports more seriously and will develop instructions for pilots and military personnel in case of encounters with unidentified objects. The decision comes amid growing surveillance and pressure from people. The Secretary of Defense has initiated the development of standard procedures for collecting and analyzing data from such incidents, and has also increased cooperation with international partners. Analysis of UFO data by the Japanese military has shown that some sightings indeed cannot be explained by normal phenomena or known aircraft. However, no convincing evidence of the presence of extraterrestrial technology has yet been found. Chichen Itza and its mysteries. Chichen Itza was of great importance to the Mayan civilization as a political, economic, and religious center. This ancient city, located on the northern Yucatan Peninsula, was an important site for rituals and ceremonies related to the gods and astronomical phenomena. Erich von Daniken, known for his theories about ancient aliens, paid attention to the El Castillo Pyramid, Temple of Kukulkan, in his research. He suggested that the accuracy of the pyramid's architectural and astronomical elements may indicate Mayan contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. Daniken noted that pyramids like El Castillo could have been built using technologies unknown to modern scientists. The symbolic meaning of the light shown in the steps of the El Castillo pyramid during the equinoxes is associated with the cultic veneration of the god Kukulkan. During the spring and autumn equinoxes, sunlight creates the illusion of a serpent descending the steps of the pyramid. This phenomenon was interpreted as the return of Kukulkan to Earth, confirming the importance of the Mayas' astronomical knowledge and their ability to design architecture in harmony with the movements of celestial bodies. The Mayans believed in the return of the god Kukulkan, a feathered serpent who symbolized rebirth and renewal. This belief was based on ancient myths and texts such as the Popol Vuh and the Mayan codes, which describe the cyclical nature of time and the return of the gods at certain points in history. Kukulkan was an important deity associated with wind, water, and fertility, making his cult especially significant to the agrarian Mayan society. Modern archaeologists interpret these finds as evidence of the high level of development of astronomy and engineering among the Mayans. They believe that the pyramids and other structures of Chichen Itza were built taking into account complex mathematical calculations and observations of the movement of celestial bodies. Remote view. Project Stargate is a secret program launched by the CIA in the 1970s to study and apply the phenomenon of remote viewing, also known as remote sensing. Remote viewing is the ability of a person to obtain information about distant or inaccessible objects, places, or events without the use of conventional sensory means. Project Stargate was created to explore the use of this ability for intelligence purposes, including the study of UFOs. The project used various methods such as hypnosis, meditation, and other techniques to put participants into altered states of consciousness where they could receive information. These methods have been used to study UFOs and search for signs of extraterrestrial activity. One of the key participants in the project was Pat Price, a former police officer with exceptional abilities in the field of remote viewing. Pat Price made several important discoveries, especially regarding features beneath Mount Hayes in Alaska. He claimed to have seen an underground base there controlled by aliens and described detailed structures and technologies that were supposedly located in this base. These claims have generated great interest and controversy among researchers. Several CIA documents contain references to such bases and confirm that Price provided information that was partially corroborated by other intelligence sources. However, no direct and unambiguous evidence of the existence of an alien base has been found, and many aspects of these claims remain controversial. Remote viewing is used for reconnaissance and research of UFOs, providing information about places that cannot be explored using traditional methods. For example, remote viewers can describe the internal structures of spaceships or bases that are inaccessible to physical observation. The death of Pat Price in 1975 under mysterious circumstances adds an element of danger to the work of remote viewers. Price's death has sparked much speculation and conspiracy theories, suggesting that he may have been eliminated due to his knowledge and abilities. Dangers and mystical deaths. People reporting UFO encounters face several dangers. One of the main threats is social stigma. Witnesses are often ridiculed and not taken seriously, which can negatively impact their personal and professional lives. In addition, there are more serious risks, including psychological pressure, threats, and even physical danger, especially if their evidence involves secret government programs or military installations. There are several examples of mysterious deaths of UFO researchers. For example, James McDonald, a renowned scientist and UFO researcher, allegedly committed suicide in 1971 after a series of mysterious events and threats. Morris Jessup, author of The Case for UFOs, also died under suspicious circumstances in 1959, raising suspicions of possible outside interference. There are programs to protect witnesses and UFO researchers. Some organizations provide legal support and security advice. There are many theories about the connection between the deaths of UFO researchers and their work. Some suggest that governments or secret organizations eliminate people who have dangerous knowledge or reveal classified information. Others believe that these deaths may be the result of psychological pressure and stress associated with the study and disclosure of such data. Satellite data. Modern satellite images available through various internet platforms, such as Google Earth, show possible entrances to underground bases in Antarctica. One such example is images showing strange holes in the ice sheet that resemble man-made structures. Satellite images have also been discovered on South Georgia Island, which some researchers believe indicate a possible UFO crash. One such image was found on Google Earth and shows what appears to be a crashed spaceship. The image aroused interest among ufologists and internet researchers who suggested that it could be debris of alien origin. Some of these objects have unusual shapes and sizes that are difficult to explain by natural processes. The alleged UFO on South Georgia Island has often been compared to the interstellar object Oumuamua, which came to the attention of scientists in 2017. Oumuamua, discovered as the first known interstellar object to pass through the solar system, has an unusual shape and trajectory that does not match the characteristics of ordinary asteroids or comets. This has led to speculation that it could be an alien probe or spacecraft. Old dried lemon. In the UK, a 285-year-old lemon found in an old chest was sold at auction. The buyer paid £1,400 for it. This brown dried lemon was discovered when locals were sorting through their uncle's belongings and found a 19th-century chest. Suspecting that the chest might be valuable, they decided to show it to auctioneer David Brettle. While Brettle was photographing a chest to sell, he came across a lemon. The The citrus peel bore the inscription, "Presented by Mr. P. Lou Francini, November 4th, 1739, to Miss E. Baxter." It is believed that lemon was brought to England from British India as a romantic gift. Brettel decided to have a little fun and put the lemon up for auction with a starting price of £40.60. However, the lemon was sold for a record almost £1.5 thousand. The high value of a lemon is due to its rarity because an item like this is unlikely to ever appear at auction again. Strange rock on the beach. Traveler Kyle Finley, while walking along Edisto Beach in South Carolina one evening, discovered a fossilized tooth of a prehistoric American mastodon. Kyle has been vacationing on Edisto Beach with his family since childhood. Finding fossils had always been his favorite pastime, but this find came as a complete surprise. A representative from the Natural History Museum in London confirmed that Kyle's photographs do indeed show a tooth from an American mastodon, or Mammoth americanum. The American mastodon is a distant relative of mammoths and elephants that lived in North America from the late Miocene to the late Pleistocene and went extinct about 10,000 years ago. These animals were lower and stronger than mammoths. Females reached 2 meters in height and males up to 3. Previously, megalodon teeth and the remains of other prehistoric mammals were found on this beach. Artifacts of a lost, mysterious civilization. Archaeologists have discovered gold jewelry, arrowheads, and a large bronze mirror in burial mounds dating back about 2,000 years in the Turkestan region of southern Kazakhstan. These artifacts are believed to have been made during the time of the Kangju state, which ruled the region between the 5th century BC and 4th century AD. The finds demonstrate the high skill of Kangju artisans who traded with ancient Rome, China, and the Kushan Empire. The bronze mirror, in style and design, probably originated in China during the Han Dynasty. Similar mirrors were found in Afghanistan and the southern Urals, which indicates the high status of the woman next to whom it was buried. Archaeologists claim that the state of Kangju was a federation of different peoples, including the Sarmatians, Xiongnu, and Sakas. The location of the Kangju cities on the Silk Road facilitated diplomatic and trade ties with the entire ancient world. The artifacts will be exhibited at the National Museum of the Republic of Kazakhstan in Astana. Prehistoric canoes at the bottom of the lake. The Wisconsin Historical Society discovered 11 ancient boats ranging in age from 4,500 to 800 years old, along with fishing nets and tools in Lake Mendota. Canoes are found on the lake bottom and along the shoreline. Experts suggest that an unknown civilization flourished here. The Ho-Chunk tribe lived in the vicinity of Lake Mendota, but even earlier, the Paleo-Indians appeared here about 12,000 years ago. The boats, known as dugout canoes, are made from solid logs. Archaeologists have been excavating the lake since 2021 and discovered a 1,200-year-old 5-meter-long boat with ancient fishing nets at a depth of 9 meters. Radiocarbon dating showed the oldest canoe to be about 4,500 years old. The latest red oak boat dates from around 1250 AD. The boats were lifted from the bottom of the lake using inflatable bags and transported to the shore. Archaeologists do not plan to recover other canoes due to their fragility. Children's drawings in Pompeii. These findings immerse us in the everyday life of ordinary people on the eve of the disaster. Antique graffiti depicting fighting gladiators was found among the ruins of Pompeii. Scientists believe that these scribbles provide a better understanding of the way of thinking of the ancient Romans. The charcoal drawings were discovered among the ruins of the courtyard of the Casa del Secondo Cenacolo Colonnato, colonnaded house of the Second Last Supper. Researchers say the drawings were created by children probably aged 5-7 years. This is confirmed by the fact that nearby there was a silhouette of a small hand outlined in charcoal. This confirms that even ancient Roman children visited amphitheaters to watch bloody spectacles. Graffiti was found on one of the walls of the corridor near the service yard, approximately 1.5 meters from the floor level. The children probably climbed onto the scaffolding. The drawings depict 2 gladiators facing each other. Nearby is a scene of Venatio, hunting games, also with 2 fighters armed with long spears. They appear to be about to fight a pair of wild boars. On the right is the head of a bird of prey, presumably an eagle. In another room, most likely intended for storing amphorae, another series of drawings appeared on the walls, again at a not very high height. These are 3 small hands outlined in charcoal, 2 scenes of gladiators fighting, 2 figures playing with a ball, a boar, and finally, a scene of hand-to-hand combat in which one of the 2 fighters is lying down. The oldest private company. Archaeologists in Turkey have found a cuneiform tablet that is about 4,000 years old. This discovery made it possible to establish that the tablet recorded the creation of one of the earliest commercial firms. Excavations were carried out in the ruins of the ancient city of Kultepe, located in Anatolia. Numerous cuneiform tablets dating back to around 1950 BC were found at the site, confirming their age to be around 4,000 years old. The tablet represents the earliest known record of a commercial company being registered. The first commercial company was founded with an authorized capital of 15 kilograms of gold and had 12 founders. Each of them automatically became a shareholder in the company, with each having different shares depending on how much gold they contributed. The company's capital was managed for 12 years by a merchant named Cupid Ishtar. All transactions were strictly recorded and sealed in the presence of witnesses. If someone wanted to withdraw their share before the deadline, they were given about 4 kilograms of silver instead of 1 kilogram of gold. This ensured that capital would remain in the company for a long period. This find is important evidence of early forms of business and shows how commercial activities were already regulated and documented in ancient times. Face of Amenhotep III. Amenhotep III ruled ancient Egypt 3,400 years ago at the height of its power. Considered one of the richest men in history, he was revered as a living god and was the grandfather of Tutankhamun. Now we can see his true face thanks to scientific reconstruction. Amenhotep III led Egypt to unprecedented prosperity and international power. There are more statues of him than any other pharaoh, but his face has never been reconstructed. An international team of scientists decided to show us what this man looked like. Michael Habicht, an archaeologist at Flinders University in Australia, notes that Amenhotep III looked different than in his statues. This suggests that all the Egyptians who lived after his death did not know what he really looked like. His face after reconstruction expresses the calm of a man who stood for peace and lived in an era of economic prosperity. Research showed that the pharaoh was obese, sick and inactive, suffered from dental problems, was almost bald, and had a height of only 156 centimeters, which made him one of the shortest pharaohs. Brazilian graphics expert Cicero Moraes digitally reconstructed Amenhotep III's skull using data from living donors to determine the size and position of the nose, ears, eyes, and lips. The reconstruction also took into account historical data about his strong physique. This is the first close-to-reality image of the face of Amenhotep III, which includes not only the face, but also clothing and accessories. Amenhotep III died between the ages of 40 and 50, leaving his successor a country at the peak of power and wealth. In diplomatic letters, foreign rulers begged him to send them gold, describing Egypt as a country where gold was as abundant as sand. There is speculation that Amenhotep III's mummy may have been covered in gold leaf, making it look like a statue of a god. It is also suggested that the pharaoh was a great connoisseur of women, importing hundreds of foreign harem ladies. After the death of Amenhotep III, his son Amenhotep IV changed his name to Akhenaten and established the cult of the sun god Aten. However, his son Tutankhaten restored the cult of Amun and changed his name to Tutankhamun, becoming one of the most famous pharaohs thanks to the discovery of his tomb in 1922. Unknown statue in a Thai forest. Recently, mushroom pickers in Thailand found a stone sculpture of a woman resembling Buddha's mother and reported the discovery to researchers. Despite the remoteness of the region, archaeologists have doubts about the origin of the statue. This discovery has sparked controversy among scientists who are trying to determine the age of the statue. One of the people who found the statue shared the find on social networks, expressing his surprise and admiration. He called it a blessing because the sculpture was found in a place he had known for a long time. The sculpture, carved on the sloping surface of a rock, depicts a woman in full height. She has long hair and traditional clothing, including a long skirt and a heavy scarf around her neck. A woman holds a branch above her head. Some believe that the sculpture dates from the Dvaravati period, a kingdom of Southeast Asia, 6th to the 11th centuries, and depicts Maya Devi, the mother of Siddhartha Gautama who became the Buddha. However, this theory is not generally accepted. An art historian from Silpakorn University in Thailand believes the sculpture may be more recent. He claims that the sculptor imitated ancient Indian art but created his work later. The specialist points out the sculpture's facial features, such as eyebrows and lips, which do not match those of the Dvaravati era. He also notes that the image of Maya Devi holding a fig tree branch was not common in the region during that era. The fig tree, native to Southeast Asia, has religious significance for Buddhists and Hindus. Love conquers all. The artifact was found during archaeological work on a 15th century harbor crane sandwiched between two defensive towers. Polish archaeologists have discovered a medieval decoration in the shape of a dove with the Latin inscription Amor vincit omnia, love conquers all. The dove badge contains the remains of two handles, which allowed it to be hung on a chain or attached to clothing. For the ancient Greeks and Romans, the dove symbolized love, devotion, and care. The dove was the sacred animal of the love goddesses Aphrodite and Venus. Dr. Anna Rymbish-Lubiewska, an archaeologist at the museum, says pigeons are associated with love and fidelity. A pair of doves symbolizes care and devotion to a partner, making them the perfect symbol of love and family. The National Maritime Museum in Gdansk said that such decorations were popular in Gdansk between the 14th and 15th centuries. This fashion came from Western Europe, especially from the Netherlands and England. This harbor crane was once the largest working crane in the world. It also served as a defensive structure and one of the city gates. The crane had a lifting capacity of 4 tons to a height of 11 meters, which was achieved thanks to 2 massive wooden wheels at the base, each of which had a diameter of 6 meters. Since 2020, work has continued to restore the port crane, which was severely damaged during World War II. Viking sword in trash. On May 27th, Eivind Tveitane Lovra and his son were cleaning their farm in Suldal, Norway. While cleaning, they found a metal object that turned out to be a valuable artifact. Archaeologists with many years of experience took the sword for examination. They had never encountered such finds. During the Viking Age, a sword was a major indicator of status, and wearing one was a privilege. X-ray examination of the artifact allowed scientists to obtain valuable information. The blade retains the contours of an engraving in the form of a cross and possibly letters. The weapon dates back to between 900 and 1050, but the sword has lost almost half its length. According to the Gulaming law, the sword was a mandatory attribute of free men who attended meetings. The find may be the famous sword of Ulfbert from the Viking Age or early Middle Ages. Sigmund Orell, professor of archaeology at the University of Stavanger, explains that Ulfberts were high-quality swords produced in the Frankish Empire, now Germany. About 170 such swords are known, most of which were found in Scandinavia. Ulfberts are made of crucible steel with a high carbon content up to 1.2%. Treasure older than the Iron Age. Researchers have finally uncovered the mystery of 2 unusual artifacts from the gold treasure Treasures of Valena. A pair of pieces of jewelry, partly of extraterrestrial origin, have been found in Iberian Bronze Age treasures. The dull bracelet and the rusty hollow hemisphere decorated with gold turned out to be forged from metal that fell from the sky in the form of a meteorite. The discovery was made by Salvador Rovira Loren, former head of conservation at the National Archaeological Museum of Spain. His work showed that metalworking technologies and techniques in Iberia 3,000 years ago were more advanced than previously thought. The Treasures of Valena cache includes 66 items found in 1963 in what is now Alicante. These pieces are considered a prime example of Bronze Age jewelry in the Iberian Peninsula and Europe. 2 pieces of jewelry, a small hemisphere and a bracelet in the shape of a hrivnia, have elements that archaeologists have called iron. This posed a problem since the Iron Age on the Iberian Peninsula began around 850 BC, and gold jewelry dates back to between 1500 and 1200 BC. The difference between meteorite and terrestrial iron is the high nickel content of meteorite iron. Despite the rust, the results of the study showed that the hemisphere and bracelet were made from meteorite iron dating back to approximately 1400 to 1200 BC. Oldest photograph in Germany. The date of invention of photography is considered to be 1839. However, a photo was discovered in Munich that changes history. A photograph taken 2 years earlier was found in the German museum. The photograph, measuring 4 by 4 centimeters, depicts a Munich landmark, the Frauenkirche Cathedral. The photograph was taken by the German scientist Franz von Kobel in 1837. Researcher Cornelia Kemp found this photo in the archive. It was previously believed that the oldest photograph in Germany dates back to 1839. It was in this year that Louis Daguerre invented the daguerreotype, but a discovery in Munich shows that the first photograph in Germany was taken in March 1837. Kobel marked the date on the back of the salt-printed photograph. In the photo, the Frauenkirche appears as a shadow against the dark sky. The image was upside down and exposed for hours. The oldest photograph in Germany will not be seen in the permanent exhibition of the museum. It will be stored in a special room with a low temperature. Rare astronomical instrument. An 11th century medieval brass astrolabe was discovered by accident, but has proven to be an important piece of evidence of cross-cultural scientific interaction. Created in Spain, it later received inscriptions in different languages as the new owners adapted it to their own needs. This artifact is unique, like a palimpsest, reflecting the changing ideas and needs of its owners. This is not just a rare example of an ancient instrument. This is a powerful testimony to the scientific exchange between Arabs, Jews, and Christians over the centuries. The Verona astrolabe has undergone many changes, passing from hand to hand. At least 3 owners added translations and corrections, 2 in Hebrew and 1 in Indo-European. Astrolabes are maps of the sky with rotating parts that help determine position in time and space. They were useful for navigation, astronomy, and astrology. The mystery of the death spot. Death is an integral part of life. All people are mortal, but only a few leave behind riddles that will puzzle generations. In the abandoned mental hospital The Ridges, there is a stain in the shape of a human body on the concrete floor. This is where a patient named Margaret Schilling died. The woman lay there for several weeks, and the spot appeared in 1979, causing a lot of speculation and hoaxes. Forensic experts found that the stain was formed as a result of the decomposition of the body. The Ridges, originally known as Athens Mental Health Center, is located in Athens, Ohio. Opened in 1874, this asylum, like many others at the time, was intended to isolate the mentally ill from society. The Ridges could accommodate about 550 patients. However, by the 1950s, the hospital was overcrowded with approximately 2,000 patients. There are myths that Margaret was deaf and dumb and was unable to call for help, hiding from the staff. She was slowly dying in a locked room. In fact, Margaret was an ordinary woman with mental disabilities. Married with 3 children, she began to suffer when her mother died. Visions and conversations with her deceased mother led her to the orphanage. Most likely, Margaret died of heart failure caused by the cold in the unheated part of the building. She was found naked, with her clothes neatly folded nearby. Removal of the body left a permanent stain caused by decomposition and exposure to sunlight. Despite attempts to clean it, the stain remained in its place, recalling the tragic fate of the patient. Mysticism lovers quickly created a legend that the stain is an imprint of Margaret's soul, which wanders the corridors of the hospital. They claim that her ghost can still be seen in the form of a blurry figure with a blank look. After the hospital closed, the complex was transferred to Ohio State University. After renovation, the hospital turned into an educational institution. In that same room, they made an archive, covering the silhouette with tiles. However, some claim that they saw the ghost of a woman with folded hands as if offering a prayer to someone invisible. Palm Scroll. In 1938, an amazing discovery was made in India. Ancient palm scrolls containing extensive knowledge about medicine, astronomy, and other sciences. These scrolls are over 4,000 years old, making them one of the oldest libraries in the world. The contents of the scrolls are striking in their diversity. From medical treatises describing the treatment of various diseases to astronomical records detailing the movements of planets and stars. These scrolls represent an invaluable cultural heritage that provides a window into the world of ancient knowledge and practices. They confirm the high level of development of science and medicine in ancient India. Of particular interest is the technique of their creation and preservation. Palm leaves, carefully processed and recorded, could store information for thousands of years. Bosnian pyramids. Mysterious structures have been discovered in Bosnia that, according to some researchers, may be ancient structures dating back about 12,000 years. These massive formations first came to the attention of archaeologists and enthusiasts in the early 2000s when they were pointed out by Bosnian archaeologist and businessman Samir Osmanagic. He claims that the pyramids were created by an ancient civilization and are much older than the known pyramids in Egypt. The complex consists of several pyramidal structures, including the Pyramid of the Sun, Moon, and Dragon. The Pyramid of the Sun is the largest and reaches a height of about 220 meters, making it one of the tallest pyramids in the world. Osmanagic and his team conducted extensive research, including ground-penetrating radar scans and excavations, claiming to have discovered traces of ancient tunnels and stone blocks that indicate the pyramids were man-made. However, not all scientists agree with this point of view. Many geologists and archaeologists argue that these structures are natural formations formed as a result of geological processes. They indicate that the geological structure of the region and the shape of the pyramids can be explained by natural forces such as erosion and tectonic movements. They remain one of the most mysterious and debated finds in modern archaeology. Pluto Gate. In 2013, an amazing discovery was made in Turkey, an ancient sanctuary also known as the Gateway to Hell. This mystical place has attracted the attention of archaeologists for its deadly fumes, killing all animals that approach them. The discovery was made in the ancient city of Hierapolis, located in the modern province of Denizli. Pluto's Gate was dedicated to the ancient Roman god of the underworld, Pluto. They were a cave from which poisonous gases emanated. These fumes contain a high concentration of carbon dioxide, which makes the air lethal to any living beings. The priests of the ancient sanctuary demonstrated the power of the gods by leading the animals to the gate, where they instantly died from the poisonous gas. Archaeologists have determined that high concentrations of carbon dioxide came from deep fissures in the ground running underneath the sanctuary. The gas reaches the surface and accumulates in the cave, creating a deadly atmosphere. This natural phenomenon was known to the ancient Romans and was used for ritual purposes. The discovery of Pluto's Gate not only revealed the secrets of the ancient sanctuary, but also demonstrated how natural phenomena could be used in the religious rituals of antiquity. Tomb with unique frescoes. Amazing murals depicting daily life in the 8th century have been found in a small Tang-era tomb in northern China. Frescoes dating back to 736 cover all the walls of the tomb except the floor and depict scenes from life in the Tang dynasty. The tomb belonged to a man who died at the age of 63. The paintings are done in the style of the Tang era, using strong outlines and simple shading, and appear mostly two-dimensional. This style, called figures under the tree, was popular in Taiyuan, the capital of Shaanxi province. The gate, corridor, and pedestal of the tomb are also decorated with frescoes. There are guards depicted on the outside of the gate. The frescoes do not depict famous historical periods or important people. In one scene, people perform everyday tasks, such as grinding grain or drawing water from a well. Another shows a woman with horses and a man with a whip, presumably from a non-Han ethnic group. The figures in the frescoes resemble the same man and woman, leading archaeologists to speculate that they were the owners of the tomb. Mysterious accessory from the future. Archaeologists have discovered wall carvings depicting objects similar to modern handbags. Some of these images are about 12,000 years old. The earliest were found in Turkey in the ruins of the megalithic temple of Göbekli Tepe, where strange images are engraved on the columns of the ancient temple. Similar motifs have been discovered in Mexico, Iraq, and South America, raising many questions about the possible use of such objects by ancient civilizations. Although the images resemble handbags or clutches, experts believe the ancient ruins are more likely to depict baskets. Some believe that the concept of a handbag may have been invented by ancient civilizations. The first modern bag appeared in 1841 in England, created by Samuel Parkinson. The problem is that the Göbekli Tepe temple was built in 9000 BC, and its builders could hardly have known about such an accessory. Another ancient example of a handbag was found in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs written about 5,000 years ago, where the gods hold a small square object symbolizing prosperity. Archaeologists have indeed found remains of baskets and tool bags used by the ancient Egyptians, but they cannot yet say for sure what is depicted in the hieroglyphs. Similar discoveries were made in Iraq, among the ruins of an Assyrian palace built between 883 and 859 BC, which depicts a genie with wings holding what appears to be a handbag. Historian David Miano believes that these figures, called Apkallu, were minor deities who carried water buckets made from sacred date palms rather than purses. Ancient buckets similar to the engravings were actually found in Iraq. Similar motifs have also been found in Mexico among Toltec ruins, where giant statues hold objects resembling handbags. These statues were created around 750 AD. Traces of a disappeared culture. Venezuelan archaeologists have discovered 20 new sites with rock art dating back thousands of years. These drawings found in Canaima National Park belong to a previously unknown culture. The red pigment designs include geometric motifs such as dots, crosses, stars, and lines, as well as stylized images of leaves and human figures. Some images are carved into stone, making them petroglyphs. The purpose of these drawings remains a mystery. They could be associated with birth, illness, renewal of nature, or hunting. Rock art sites were probably important because of their location, just as the sites of churches and mosques are to us today. The exact age of the drawings is still unknown, but they are believed to be about 4,000 years old, similar to similar drawings in Brazil. However, scientists believe that the Venezuelan finds may be more ancient. Canaima National Park is a huge area of forests and parks the size of Belgium. One of its most famous attractions is Angel Falls, the tallest waterfall in the world. Researchers speculate that the park may have been the center of the emergence of this mysterious culture, which later spread throughout the Amazon, Guyana, and southern Colombia, where there are similar cave paintings. Portal to the Underworld. Last year, a unique artifact, the portal to the underworld, which was stolen and taken to the United States in the 1960s, returned to Mexico. Scientists recently completed restoration and returned it to its original location in central Mexico. This monument, created by the Olmec civilization, has long been considered a gateway to the other world. In the 1960s, it was kidnapped from Chalcatzingo, a famous Olmec archaeological site where it was depicting a mythical cat with gaping jaws, a symbol of entry into the spiritual world. The monument dates from the pre-classic period, created between 800 and 400 BC. The thieves smashed the artifact with hammers to make it easier to transport, but did not damage the main features. It was smuggled to the United States, where it ended up on the illegal antiques market. In 1968, the artifact ended up in a New York museum under the name Monster of the Earth. Archaeologist David Grove recognized the Olmec origins of the monument and noted similarities with other sculptures at Chalcatzingo, especially the Olmec cross-shaped eyes and bromeliad flowers near the mouth. The mice ate an important message. Archaeologists sometimes make such amazing discoveries that they are hard to believe. One of the most unusual discoveries was an ancient Greek letter that was eaten by mice. It was written on a wooden tablet and contained an order to kill the messenger. The researchers were never able to prove whether this order was carried out. Letter written between 257 and 248 BC belonged to a man named Epharmostos. He sent it to his brother Zeno. The letter said, "Greetings. The letter you wrote to Menon about Calicon's money was eaten by mice. You will do me a favor if you write quickly so that Calicon will not be delayed. Goodbye." The ancient Greeks often wrote letters on various topics: family stories, news, love letters, political views. Letters were an important means of communication and literary expression. The first mention of writing in Greek literature appeared in Homer's Iliad, where Praetus gives a tablet to Bellerophon. In the 6th century BC, Herodotus describes the correspondence between King Amasis and the tyrant Polycrates. Letters were written with a reed pen and ink on papyrus, which was then rolled up and tied with thread. Official documents were sealed so that only the addressee could open them. In addition to papyrus, metal, wood, beeswax, clay tablets, limestone, or animal skin were used. The earliest Greek writing was written on lead tablets around 500 BC. God statue in the sewer. During excavations on the southeastern border of Bulgaria with Greece, scientists discovered a 2-meter sculpture of Hermes. The marble statue was hidden underground about 2,000 years ago. The work of art was located in an ancient Roman sewer in the abandoned city of Heraclea Sintica, founded by King Philip II of Macedon between 356 and 339 BC. In 388 AD, the city was destroyed by an earthquake. The head of the statue has been preserved and is in very good condition. The statue was probably hidden after the adoption of Christianity as the official religion of the Roman Empire and the banning of pagan symbols. The find is a Roman copy of an ancient Greek original. At that time, everything pagan was prohibited, but people still cared about their former deities. Tarim mummies. In the Tarim Desert, located in western China, perfectly preserved mummies have been discovered that are over 4,000 years old. These mummies are striking in their condition, preserved due to the dry climate of the region. Chinese archaeologists cannot believe this because they have Caucasian features, which raises many questions about the migrations and cultural exchanges of ancient peoples. Research has shown that the mummies have high cheekbones, deep eye sockets, and blonde hair, which is not typical for the population of this region. These findings cast doubt on previous theories that the Tarim Basin was inhabited exclusively by Asian peoples. DNA tests have confirmed the mixed origins of these people, pointing to complex migration routes connecting east and west already in ancient times. The mummies were found in a variety of burials, many of which contained rich funerary gifts including textiles, weapons, and household items. The Tarim Desert mummies continue to be studied by scientists from all over the world, revealing more and more new aspects of ancient history. They are an archaeological phenomenon. Second Tibetan Denisovan. A team of scientists examined materials found in the Tibetan Baishaya cave and discovered an ancient rib. Paleoproteomic analysis showed that it belonged to a Denisovan who lived about 32,000 years ago. Basic information about Denisovans is known from a few finds. Most of the fossils were found in Denisova Cave, after which this species of ancient people was named. Outside this cave, Denisovans were first identified in Tibet when protein fragments from a fragment of a 160,000-year-old mandible found in 1980 were analyzed. Later, Denisovan DNA was also found in sediments from younger layers of this cave. The tooth of another representative of this paleo-population was excavated in Laos. Scientists from Denmark, China, and France have studied the Tibetan Baishaya cave. At this high-altitude site, located at an altitude of 3,280 meters, they found many artifacts and animal remains, indicating that archaic people had visited the cave over many thousands of years. Among the more than 2,500 animal bones and teeth found in the cave were blue sheep, yaks, Tibetan gazelles, and horses. The bones of an ancient hyena, gray wolf, snow leopard, pheasant, and golden eagle were also identified. Anthropogenic traces were found on almost 20% of the bones. During excavations, archaeologists discovered a fragment of a rib more than 5 centimeters long, which fell into 2 parts. Biomolecular analysis showed that the fossil belonged to a Denisovan. Dating by cultural layer determined the age of the find at 48,000 years, indicating that the Denisovans visited the Baishaya cave for more than 100,000 years. The most dangerous manuscript in the world. Marie Curie is a famous experimental scientist, an outstanding chemist, and a radioactivity researcher who received 2 Nobel Prizes, one in 1903 in physics, the second in 1911 in chemistry. But why are her notebooks considered dangerous? The answer does not lie in the knowledge they contain. Marie Curie, together with her husband Pierre Curie, discovered the radioactive elements polonium and radium and developed methods for isolating radioactive isotopes. When scientists discovered radium, they had no idea about its harm to the body. Therefore, no protective measures were taken. Samples of the substance were carried in pockets and stored without precautions. Marie Curie died in 1934 from aplastic anemia, a blood disease caused by radiation. Many of the scientists who worked with her also died of leukemia and other radiation-related diseases. While working in the laboratory, Curie received a huge dose of radiation and became radioactive herself. After her death, she was buried in a lead coffin that blocks radiation. Personal belongings, including notebooks, were transferred to the National Library of France, where they are stored in lead boxes, as they remain radioactive. Today, access to Marie Curie's notebooks is difficult. To view her manuscripts, you must sign a disclaimer form at the Bibliothèque Nationale de France and obtain permission. Viewing of records takes place in a special room away from other reading rooms of the library. The visitor must wear a protective suit and use a dosimeter. Experts have found that the radiation dose for a person in a protective suit working with Curie notebooks is insignificant. Even with regular contact throughout the year, the maximum radiation dose will be about 10 USV microsievert per hour. For comparison, during a flight at an altitude of 10 kilometers, a person receives 5 MSVH. Thus, a 2-hour flight from Berlin to Barcelona will give the same radiation dose as a year of working with Curie notebooks. The Curie notebooks remain the most dangerous known manuscripts due to radioactivity. Reading them without a protective suit is extremely dangerous. Marie Curie's personal belongings will not be touched without protection for about 1,500 years, since the half-life of radium-226 is 1,600 years. Today's journey through the ancient world has come to an end, but you can watch other videos on the channel that will tell you even more about our history. Thanks for your views. Bye, everyone. Papyrus Tuli. This is an ancient Egyptian document that, according to some sources, describes sightings of unusual celestial phenomena that are reminiscent of modern ideas about UFOs. The papyrus was discovered in the first half of the 20th century and allegedly belonged to the former director of the Egyptian Museum in the Vatican, Alberto Tuli. The papyrus text tells that during the reign of Pharaoh Thutmose III, around 1480 BC, strange luminous objects appeared in the sky. They are described as discs of fire that moved across the sky, emitting light and noise. These objects caused panic among the inhabitants and priests, and their appearance was recorded as an unusual event. Although the authenticity of the Tuli papyrus is disputed and has generated much controversy among scholars, its contents continue to attract the attention of researchers and UFO enthusiasts. Some believe the document may be ancient evidence of alien sightings. Secrets of the Codex Gigas. The Codex Gigas, also known as the Devil's Bible, is an ancient manuscript that holds many mysteries. Created in the 13th century, it amazes with its size and content. Inside the book, you can find not only the texts of the Old and New Testaments, but also an image of the devil himself, which takes up an entire page. Most intriguing, however, are the astronomical maps, which appear unusually detailed for their time. This has given rise to many theories about the possible extraterrestrial origin of the knowledge used to create the codex. Some researchers believe that the manuscript may contain encrypted messages or knowledge transmitted by alien civilizations. Legend has it that the Codex Gigas was written by a monk in one night with the help of the devil. What does this mysterious manuscript hide? And is it possible that its pages contain encrypted keys to ancient knowledge that came from outer space? The Codex Gigas remains one of the most mysterious artifacts of antiquity, which we will definitely study someday. Monolith on Phobos. Phobos, one of the 2 moons of Mars, hides an amazing secret, a giant monolith. This monolith, about 85 meters high, was first discovered in images taken by spacecraft. Its size and correct shape raise many questions among scientists. Some researchers suggest that the monolith may be an artificial structure left behind by an ancient alien civilization. This hypothesis is based on its unusual geometry and isolation from other geological forms on the surface of Phobos. The monolith looks like it was deliberately placed in this location. This discovery caused heated discussions in the scientific community and gave rise to many theories. Some believe the monolith may be an ancient beacon or marker left behind for future space explorers. Others see it as possible evidence of alien activity in our solar system. The mystery of the Ellora Caves. In India, in the state of Maharashtra, there is an amazing complex of caves, the Ellora Caves. This architectural masterpiece, comprising 34 caves, is carved directly into the rock and is a unique combination of Buddhist, Hindu, and Jain temples. The age of the structures dates back to the period between the 6th and 10th centuries AD. The Ellora Caves are amazing in their precision and complexity. Some of them are enormous in size and have exquisite details, carved with amazing precision. Particularly impressive is the Kailasa Temple, carved from a single mass of stone, which is considered the largest monolithic structure in the world. The technology and methods used to create such complex and precise structures still remain a mystery. This gave rise to many theories, including speculation about extraterrestrial intervention. Some researchers believe that the ancient builders may have had knowledge and technology passed on by alien civilizations. This unique complex remains one of the most intriguing archaeological finds, offering more questions than answers. Baigu stone pipes. In a remote area of China at the foot of Mount Baigu, amazing underground pipes made of stone have been discovered. These ancient structures, over 5,000 years old, are amazing in their complexity and precision. Excavations have shown that the pipes go deep underground and have a variety of sizes, from small with a diameter of several centimeters to huge, more than a meter in diameter. The technology used to create these pipes remains a mystery to modern scientists. How were ancient civilizations able to carve and install such complex structures? Their origin and purpose remain unknown, giving rise to many hypotheses and speculations. Researchers speculate that these pipes could be part of an ancient water supply or ventilation system. However, there is a more intriguing theory. Perhaps the Baigu stone chimneys are evidence of extraterrestrial involvement. The precision and scale of construction raises the possibility of ancient technology that we do not yet understand. It is interesting that similar artifacts are known from other places around the world. For example, on the Colorado Plateau, the pipes here also have a diameter from 50 centimeters to 1 centimeter. Archaeologists discovered that the inside of these pipes was covered with an iron-containing crust. Something similar was discovered in Louisiana, USA. In this case, the diameters reach 70 centimeters. New species of dinosaurs in Siberia. In the Kemerovo region, Russian scientists discovered the skeleton of a dinosaur which turned out to be a previously unknown species. It was named Kia-cursor longipes, which means long-toothed runner from the Kia River. The fossils were found after a huge rock fell from a rocky cliff with petrified bones sticking out of the rock. The skeleton was found on the territory of the Great Siberian Refugium, where relics of the Jurassic period were preserved: stem salamanders, primary crocodiles, and docodonts. Primitive mammals. The fossils were studied using X-rays, Connecticut scans, and microscopes. It turned out that the dinosaur lived in Siberia from 113 to 121 million years ago. The skeleton was partially preserved. Ribs, vertebrae, a humerus, both feet and legs, were identified. The specimen was classified as a ceratosaur, a group of running dinosaurs with 2 small legs. This is the first such discovery from the Cretaceous period in Asia. Until now, it was believed that ceratosaurs became extinct in this part of the world 40 million years earlier. The unique proportions of the hind limbs with an elongated third digit allowed it to run better. Zoologists determined that the dinosaur grew to 2.5 m in length and was an adult animal, but no older than 3 years. Sunken ship with lead ingots. About 2,000 years ago, a Roman ship sank in the Mediterranean Sea with valuable cargo, including massive lead ingots. The heaviest of them weighs 68 kilograms, which is about 205 Roman pounds, according to the University of Alicante. Markings on the ingot indicate that it belonged to a Roman emperor, possibly Nero. In addition, there were about 3,000 cans of fish sauce on board the ship. This sauce, known as garum, was popular in Roman cuisine and was widely used as a seasoning. The ship was about 32 meters long and was probably en route from Cadiz to Rome when it sank. The ship not only carried valuable metals but also foodstuffs important to the Roman diet. Exploring the shipwreck provides a unique opportunity to study the shipbuilding technologies and trading methods of the ancient Romans. God statue in the sewer. During excavations on the southeastern border of Bulgaria with Greece, scientists discovered a 2-meter sculpture of Hermes. The marble statue was hidden underground about 2,000 years ago. The work of art was located in an ancient Roman sewer in the abandoned city of Heraclea Sintica, founded by King Philip II of Macedon between 356 and 339 BC. In 388 AD, the city was destroyed by an earthquake. The head of the statue has been preserved and is in very good condition. The statue was probably hidden after the adoption of Christianity as the official religion of the Roman Empire and the banning of pagan symbols. The find is a Roman copy of an ancient Greek original. At that time, everything pagan was prohibited, but people still cared about their former deities. The mystery of the Urov civilization. In Iran, in the ancient city of Urartu, archaeologists discovered unique artifacts. These finds, over 5,000 years old, feature pottery and stone artifacts depicting unusual creatures and symbols. Particular attention is drawn to figures with elongated heads and large eyes which resemble descriptions of alien creatures. The images on the artifacts of the Urartu civilization are so unique and different from other known ancient cultures that some researchers have hypothesized about possible contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations. These hypotheses are based on the fact that ancient artists could depict what they saw or heard about. The finds also include complex geometric patterns and symbols that have not yet been deciphered. This only adds to the mystery of this ancient culture. The Urartu civilization, thanks to its mysterious artifacts, attracts the attention of not only archaeologists, but also lovers of mysticism and the inexplicable. Venus of Willendorf. In 1908, in Austria, archaeologists made a unique discovery. They discovered the Venus of Willendorf. This tiny figurine, just 11 centimeters high, depicts a curvaceous woman and is approximately 28,000 years old. It was found in the village of Willendorf and quickly became one of the most famous symbols of Paleolithic art. The Venus of Willendorf is carved from limestone and painted with red ochre. Her curvaceous figure, emphasizing her breasts, belly, and hips, symbolizes fertility and feminine beauty. The figurine's face is missing, perhaps indicating that its creators wanted to focus more on the body and its symbolic meaning. This figurine remains the subject of much research and controversy. Some scientists believe that the Venus of Willendorf could be used in rituals related to fertility. Others believe that it could be a talisman or amulet. Of course, it was not possible to associate this figure with an alien origin. Some researchers associate its unusual shape and good detail for that time with a possible similarity with the guests of their distant space. But why only one similar figurine was found is still unclear to archaeologists. Mound with the image of an alligator. In Ohio, USA, there is an amazing archaeological site, Alligator Mound. This mound, made of earth and stones, depicts a gigantic creature resembling an alligator or salamander, approximately 76 meters long. Despite its name, the true purpose and symbolism of this mound remains a mystery. Researchers suggest that the mound could symbolize a mythical creature associated with the spiritual or religious beliefs of ancient cultures. However, the unusual shape and huge size of the mound also aroused the interest of supporters of theories about possible contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations. They claim that such images could be the result of sightings of alien beings or symbols. Alligator Mound was built about 1,000 years ago by a culture known as the Hopewell. Some scientists believe that it was a ritual or astronomical site. Others see it as a possible place of worship of ancient gods or spirits. Alligator Mound is one of many examples of how ancient cultures created incredible monuments that continue to puzzle and inspire modern society. Yonaguni Monument. Off the coast of Japan, near the island of Yonaguni, there is one of the most mysterious underwater objects, the Yonaguni Monument. This massive rock complex was discovered in 1986 by Japanese diver Kihachiro Aratatake. The structure, lying at a depth of about 25 meters, resembles giant terraces and platforms, giving the impression of an ancient megalithic complex. The origin of the Yonaguni Monument is still a matter of debate. Some scientists believe the structure is a natural geological formation that has been eroded. However, the symmetry and clear lines, reminiscent of steps and walls, lead many researchers to assume that this is a man-made structure. Proponents of the theory of an ancient civilization point to possible similarities with other megalithic structures, such as the pyramids of Egypt or structures in Malta. These hypotheses raise questions about what technologies might have been used to create such structures thousands of years ago. The most intriguing is the hypothesis of extraterrestrial intervention. Some researchers believe that such complex and massive structures could only be created with the help of knowledge and technology transmitted by alien guests. The Yonaguni Monument continues to attract the attention of scientists and mystery lovers from all over the world. Spaceship in Turkey. In Turkey, near the city of Şanlıurfa, there is one of the most mysterious archaeological sites in the world, Göbekli Tepe. This complex, which is more than 12,000 years old, consists of massive stone structures laid out in circles. Göbekli Tepe is considered the oldest known temple complex on Earth. Megaliths up to 6 meters high and weighing several tons amaze with their precision and craftsmanship. The stone slabs are decorated with carvings depicting animals and abstract symbols. This level of art and engineering raises many questions about how ancient people were able to create such complex structures without modern technology. Researchers suggest that the construction of Göbekli Tepe could be associated with extraterrestrial technology. These hypotheses are based on the complex's extraordinary precision and scale, which some believe could only have been achieved through advanced technology, possibly passed down by alien civilizations. Göbekli Tepe continues to attract the attention of scientists and enthusiasts from around the world, fueling interest in ancient mysteries and possible contacts with extraterrestrial beings. The most dangerous manuscript in the world. Marie Curie is a famous experimental scientist, an outstanding chemist, and a radioactivity researcher who received 2 Nobel Prizes, one in 1903 in physics, the second in 1911 in chemistry. But why are her notebooks considered dangerous? The answer does not lie in the knowledge they contain. Marie Curie, together with her husband Pierre Curie, discovered the radioactive elements polonium and radium and developed methods for isolating radioactive isotopes. When scientists discovered radium, they had no idea about its harm to the body. Therefore, no protective measures were taken. Samples of the substance were carried in pockets and stored without precautions. Marie Curie died in 1934 from aplastic anemia, a blood disease caused by radiation. Many of the scientists who worked with her also died of leukemia and other radiation-related diseases. While working in the laboratory, Curie received a huge dose of radiation and became radioactive herself. After her death, she was buried in a lead coffin that blocks radiation. Personal belongings, including notebooks, were transferred to the National Library of France, where they are stored in lead boxes, as they remain radioactive. Today, access to Marie Curie's notebooks is difficult. To view her manuscripts, you must sign a disclaimer form at the Bibliothèque Nationale de France and obtain permission. Viewing of records takes place in a special room away from other reading rooms of the library. The visitor must wear a protective suit and use a dosimeter. Experts have found that the radiation dose for a person in a protective suit working with Curie notebooks is insignificant. Even with regular contact throughout the year, the maximum radiation dose will be about 10 USV microsievert per hour. For comparison, during a flight at an altitude of 10 kilometers, a person receives 5 MSVH. Thus, a 2-hour flight from Berlin to Barcelona will give the same radiation dose as a year of working with Curie notebooks. The Curie notebooks remain the most dangerous known manuscripts due to radioactivity. Reading them without a protective suit is extremely dangerous. Marie Curie's personal belongings will not be touched without protection for about 1,500 years, since the half-life of radium-226 is 1,600 years. The mystery of Drops disks. In 1938, in a remote area of China in the Bayan Karaula Mountains, archaeologists discovered amazing artifacts, drop disks. These disks, made of granite, have a diameter of about 30 centimeters and a thickness of approximately 1 centimeter. They attracted the attention of scientists with their unusual appearance. Each disc contains a central hole and cut spiral grooves reminiscent of tracks for playing sound. That is, they look like vinyl records and perhaps contain the sounds of ancient people, nature, or even something alien. Most intriguingly, the grooves on the discs contain microscopic characters that resemble hieroglyphs. Researchers say these symbols may be a form of ancient writing encoded in spiral patterns. Translations by some scholars suggest that the discs may tell of an ancient civilization known as the Drapa, which may have had contact with extraterrestrial beings. According to legend, the Dropa tribe arrived on Earth about 12,000 years ago from a distant star. But unfortunately, there are practically no artifacts left from them except these records. The Dropa discs remain one of the most mysterious archaeological finds, raising many questions about possible contacts between ancient people and aliens. Last meal. Researchers from the UK have studied the mummy of a crocodile caught in ancient Egypt. A fish with a hook was found in the stomach of a 2-meter predator, which caused the death of the reptile. The mummy, 3,000 years old, is housed in the Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery. During the time of the pharaohs, animals were often mummified, especially crocodiles, which were considered sacred. Using X-ray and computer scans, scientists virtually removed the hook and recreated a replica of it in bronze. Scans showed that during its lifetime, the crocodile had swallowed many small stones called gastroliths, which help break down meat and regulate buoyancy. The last prey died before reaching the stomach and was not affected by digestive enzymes or gastroliths. Scientists believe that the crocodile was specially caught using live bait, after which it was mummified as an offering to the god Sebek. Twice the weight of a whale. The prehistoric cow lived approximately 40 million years ago in water. German paleontologists from the State Museum of Natural History in Stuttgart discovered its remains in the south of Peru, where there was an ocean in prehistoric times. 13 vertebrae were found, each weighing 100-weight, 4 1.5-meter ribs and a giant femur. The excavation site was a shallow bay that divided the equatorial part of the continent in half. Scientists have determined that the remains belong to a creature that lived about 40 million years ago. The creature weighed approximately 340 tons. This makes it the heaviest animal to ever exist on Earth. Even the giant brontosaurs were lighter. After studying the find, scientists came to the conclusion that these huge creatures swam slowly, dived shallowly, and fed on what they found at the bottom: algae, mollusks, and small fish. In their lifestyle, they resembled sea cows, which people exterminated in the 18th century. Outwardly, they most likely also looked like sea cows, although in fact they were ancient whales of the genus Basilosaurus. Ancient inscriptions of the pharaohs in the Nile. Archaeological divers at the bottom of the murky waters of the Nile in Egypt examined algae-covered rock formations. At first glance, the stones seemed unremarkable. However, upon closer examination, scientists discovered several inscriptions associated with the ancient pharaohs. A joint team of Egyptian and French archaeologists decided to explore the ruins in the reservoir in Aswan. Under a layer of algae, they found several carvings that were at least 2,300 years old. The images ranged from drawings of ancient Egyptian pharaohs to hieroglyphs. The photo shows several well-preserved carved figures. The shapes are blurred by water and quite difficult to distinguish. One set of lettering appears to be a row of mannequin heads above two objects that resemble tombstones. These ancient inscriptions are still being studied. Archaeologists believe that these finds will help to better understand how the ancient kings ruled in those distant times. Ritual table in Tava Tepe. In Azerbaijan, a team of Italian and Azerbaijani archaeologists discovered a 3,500-year-old ritual table in the ancient settlement of Tava Tepe. This place is located near the borders of Armenia, Georgia, and Azerbaijan. During the excavations, a round-shaped adobe building was found. The structure includes a kitchen area and a ritual table. Between 1500 and 750 BC, late Bronze Age and early Iron Age, nomadic peoples probably used Tawa Tepe as a resting place before traveling through the mountains. Archaeologists found a ritual table with 8 recesses and many ceramic containers, bowls, vessels made of black-fired ceramics, and long flat stones for mixing food. In the corner of the kitchen there is a thick layer of ash and clay tokens with fingerprints which could serve as food coupons. The entrance originally had wooden columns and a thatched roof covered the entire complex, which was about 15 meters in diameter. Animal bones and discarded pottery were found outside. The human figurines placed in the sacrificial pits and the fact that the structure was sealed along with all the utensils indicate its ceremonial nature. Hjort Spring Rook. The boat was found in the Hjort Spring Bog in Denmark and is the oldest planked ship in Northern Europe, dating back approximately 2,300 years. The boat is almost 20 meters long, weighs 530 kilograms, and could carry 24 people with weapons and equipment. The boat's planks were made of basswood, the oars were made of maple, and there were curved extensions at each end. This boat is an outstanding example of ancient shipbuilding, showing the high level of craftsmanship and engineering knowledge of the time. Linden was chosen for its lightness and strength, which made the boat fast and maneuverable, and maple for the oars, for its hardness and stability. Ancient stone circles in Saudi Arabia. Archaeologists in Saudi Arabia have unearthed 8 ancient stone circles that served as habitations for people more than 7,000 years ago. Some 345 such structures have been identified through aerial photography in the Karat Uwairid lava field near the city of Alula in northwestern Saudi Arabia. The stone circles range from 4 to 8 meters in diameter and include at least one standing stone in the center. During excavations, archaeologists discovered many stone tools made of basalt. Almost 225 kilograms of stone tools or their fragments were recovered from only 5 circles. Bones of sheep, goats, and cows were also found. The finds included a variety of seashells from the Red Sea, located about 120 kilometers to the west. The round shape of houses was a global phenomenon in early architecture, and rectangular houses appeared later in the Neolithic period. The architecture of standing stone circles in Saudi Arabia is similar to structures found in Jordan, dating back approximately 500 years. The people who built these structures also raised sheep, goats, and cattle. One of the most mysterious peoples of Europe. This altar is one of 4 known Larage altars, but the only one found during excavations. The artifact was discovered at the bottom of a well in the Donis Tebe monastery. On the altar there is an inscription: Valeria Vitella fulfills her vow to Lare freely and deservedly. Mount Ariaundi, inhabited since Roman times, is located in the valley of the Gulina River near Pamplona. Its strategic position has made the site important throughout history, as evidenced by the remains of Roman infrastructure and the later monastery dedicated to Saint Stephen. Little is known about Larak. Only 3 other altars testify to the worship of this deity. The new find expands the known geographical distribution of the Larage cult. Treasure from the seabed. Archaeologists have discovered 2 sunken ships from the Ming Dynasty in the South China Sea that have lain on the bottom for almost 500 years. More than 900 unique artifacts were found on these ships, from copper coins to fine porcelain. The Ming Dynasty is known for its artistic achievements and vigorous trade. Chinese ships sailed to India and Europe, where blue and white porcelain was extremely popular. Some ships ended their journey at the bottom of the sea, leaving behind time capsules. In 2022, 2 merchant ships were found at a depth of almost 1,500 meters and at a distance of about 22 kilometers from each other. In 2023, researchers began studying and collecting artifacts. Submersibles were used to retrieve objects, and cameras and lasers were used to create 3D maps. 890 objects were recovered from the first ship, including copper coins and porcelain. From the second, 38 artifacts such as deer antlers and ceramics. The ships may have sailed from Jingdezhen, a porcelain export center. The discovered items are striking examples of Ming-era art. The ships became important witnesses to trade and cultural exchanges along the maritime Silk Road. The longest mound in Europe. Archaeologists in eastern Bohemia have found the longest Neolithic mound in Europe, about 5,300 years old. The discovery was made in June during roadwork in the Hradec Kralove area. The mound near the village of Dogalice, about 190 meters long and up to 15 meters wide, belongs to the funnel beaker culture. Although the above-ground structure has been lost due to agricultural activity, archaeologists have excavated its entrance, identified by a preserved pit and ditch. Inside the mound, 2 central burials were found, probably belonging to important persons, and 28 additional graves. These burials will undergo further laboratory analysis for accurate dating. The first central burial included a pit with drains and post holes, as well as a ceramic offering vessel. The second burial had no internal structure, but the body was laid on its left side. Archaeologists also found funerary objects such as pottery fragments, flint arrowheads, and a blade. These finds provide valuable information about the burial practices and cultural traditions of the time. Sculptures of San Agustin. In the depths of the tropical forests of Colombia, in the archaeological park of San Agustin, amazing figures of an ancient culture were discovered. These sculptures, created more than 1,000 years ago, amaze with their mysterious shapes and unusual features. Local archaeologists and researchers believe they may represent mythical creatures or even aliens. San Agustin's sculptures depict anthropomorphic and zoomorphic creatures with disproportionately large heads, large eyes, and strange accessories. Some figures have wings, others have anthropomorphic bodies with animal features. These features raise many questions about the beliefs and symbolism of the ancient culture. One of the most intriguing figures is the so-called flying man, which resembles a modern image of an alien with wings. Some researchers suggest that these sculptures could be associated with astronomical observations or rituals aimed at communicating with celestial beings. The Archaeological Park of San Agustin is the largest collection of prehistoric monumental sculptures in South America, with more than 500 statues. These artifacts provide a unique insight into a culture that left behind few written records but enriched the world with its mysterious art. The mystery of the ruins of Nan Madol. Nan Madol Ruins is a unique ancient city in Micronesia, located on artificial islands in a lagoon off the coast of Pohnpei. This mysterious complex, built from giant basalt blocks, is a complex system of canals and structures built on more than 90 artificial islands. The age of the structures is estimated at more than 1,000 years, and their purpose still remains unclear. The structure and construction technology of Nan Madol are striking in their scale and complexity. Some blocks weigh up to 50 tons, and it is still unknown how the ancient builders moved and laid them with such precision. This mystery has given rise to many hypotheses, including speculation about possible extraterrestrial knowledge or technology used in construction. Legends of local residents speak of magic and supernatural forces used in the construction of the city. The ruins of Nan Madol continue to be one of the most mysterious archaeological finds in the world, attracting the attention of both scientists and mystery lovers. Surrounded by water and myth, this ancient city offers a unique window into the past and raises questions about possible contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. As you can see, in our history there are many secrets and unexplained phenomena that lead us to believe in the existence of alien life in the past and the contact of our ancestors with extraterrestrial civilization. Underground room under the pyramids. Scientists from Japan and Egypt conducted a study of the giant necropolis in Giza. Their attention was drawn to a plot in the Western Cemetery. Members of the ruling family and high-ranking officials were buried here. The burials were in tombs with flat roofs arranged in a row. There is a free area between them that has not been previously studied. Japanese and Egyptian scientists examined it using ground-penetrating radar and electrical tomography, which made it possible to look deeper without excavation. The scan showed that at a depth of half a meter to 2 meters, there is an L-shaped structure measuring approximately 10 by 10 meters. The authors of the study believe that this is not a natural formation, but an artificial one due to its regular shape and location. Researchers suggest that this structure may be part of a deeper structure. At a depth of 5 to 10 meters, the instruments also recorded an anomaly, indicating the heterogeneity of the rock. This could be another tomb or an artifact chamber. Bronze Age wooden well. Archaeologists recently discovered a well-preserved Bronze Age wooden well in Oxfordshire, England. The well was found during the construction of Benson Relief Road. John Boothroyd, senior project manager, said they expected to find a regular hole but came across a preserved wooden post driven vertically into the ground. Further excavations revealed that the pillars were part of a wooden well. The moist soil contributed to the excellent preservation of the tree. Archaeologists digitally documented the structure and carefully dismantled it for transport to Oxfordshire museums. Wood samples were sent for analysis to determine its type. In addition to the well, archaeologists found flint, animal bones, and pottery fragments indicating their use for storage and waste. Despite difficult conditions, the team successfully fixed the well. Soil samples will help create a more complete picture of the surrounding landscape and the scale of the settlement. Helped swallow, breathe, and talk. Polish archaeologists have discovered a unique medical prosthesis designed for a person with a cleft palate, which is about 300 years old. This defect occurs when the roof of the mouth does not close properly during development and can now be corrected with surgery. However, 3 centuries ago, people were forced to look for other solutions. The prosthesis was found in the Church of St. Francis of Assisi in Krakow and is the first of its kind found in Poland. It was probably custom-made for a specific person with a cleft palate to make their life more comfortable. The device was inserted into the mouth and filled the gap in the roof of the mouth, performing functions necessary for normal life. The uniqueness of this prosthesis lies in its design. It consists of 2 parts, a metal plate that acts as the hard palate and a woolen lining for a snug fit to the mouth. The hard palate helps with swallowing, breathing, and speaking, and also holds objects in the mouth, preventing them from entering the nasal cavity. This small device, about 3 centimeters long and weighing only 6 grams, was quite advanced for its time. To study the prosthesis in more detail, scientists used a special microscope and X-ray analysis. They discovered that the metal parts were made of copper mixed with gold and silver. The wool pad contained traces of silver iodide, probably to protect against germs and maintain cleanliness. Stone with mysterious marks. A geography teacher named Graham Sr. was clearing out an overgrown garden outside his Coventry home when he came across a stone with mysterious cuts. Intrigued by the find, he sent the photographs to a local archaeologist. Graham was shocked to learn that the marks on the stone were made more than 1,600 years ago and that the artifact was worthy of museum display. The rectangular sandstone stone was covered with writing in the Agam alphabet, which was used in the early Middle Ages primarily to write the Irish language. Before the advent of parchment manuscripts, the Irish used the Agam system, which consisted of parallel lines carved into stone or wood. Rare examples of such stones provide important data about early Irish language and culture. Catherine Forsyth, professor of Celtology at the University of Glasgow, confirmed that this is a letter from the Agamas, dating from around the 4th to 6th centuries. The stone, 11 centimeters long and weighing 139 g, has inscriptions on 3 of its 4 sides. Its purpose remains a mystery, but scientists speculate that it could have been a portable memento. The inscription on the stone consists of 2 parts. The first part contains the person's name, Mael Damkiel. The second part is less clear and may be an indication of location, but the exact meaning remains unknown. The dark history of ancient columns. Sweden is a harsh country, and even against its backdrop, there are especially bewitchingly gloomy places. One of these is a trio of stone pillars on Gallo Hill, in a nature reserve north of Visby. The site claims to be the only surviving medieval execution site in Europe. The Galgberget Gallows, located on top of a small hill in the municipality of Visby, is an eerie but historically important site, one of the few remaining from the Middle Ages. Built in the 13th century, it was used to execute local criminals. Tall stone pillars surrounded by a low stone wall supported wooden beams from which the condemned were hung with ropes and hooks. The gallows was visible from the sea, serving as a warning of the harsh consequences that awaited the criminals. During archaeological excavations, the bodies of about 30 people were discovered near the gallows. All of them were executed. Some bodies were in wooden coffins, which was a luxury and indicated that these people belonged to the upper class. This shows that not only robbers and the poor were executed here, but also members of the elite. Tomb and thousands of relics. Archaeologists have made a surprising discovery at Wuwandong, one of the largest archaeological sites in the Kingdom of Chu. A sumptuous 2,200-year-old tomb has been unearthed in eastern China that may have belonged to an emperor of the Kingdom of Chu, an important region during Chinese history. Chu was one of the 7 warring kingdoms, along with Qin, Han, Wei, Zhao, Qi, and Yan. Their unification is considered the dawn of modern China. The Kingdom of Chu existed for more than 800 years until it was overthrown by the Kingdom of Qin in 223 BC. At Wuwandong, researchers found a cemetery with a chariot, sacrifice pits, and a tomb that likely belonged to the owner of the cemetery. Among the many artifacts, boards for the burial chamber, bamboo mats, and lacquerware attracted particular attention. In total, more than 1,000 cultural relics were found, dating back to approximately 220 BC. Among them are bronze ritual vessels, musical instruments, lacquerware, and plant remains. The most interesting find was the central coffin with an inscription containing more than 1,000 hieroglyphs. The scale of the tomb, its complex structure, and rich contents led researchers to believe that it belonged to the emperor of the Chu Kingdom. To preserve the remains, archaeologists worked in a low-oxygen laboratory built at the excavation site. Digital scanning and video recording were used to create a 3D model of the tomb. Leather shoes from the tomb. Chinese archaeologists are restoring 1,400-year-old leather shoes found in the Astana tombs, capital of the ancient kingdom of Gaocheng. German experts are helping with the restoration. Finding such old leather or textiles is rare, as they quickly decompose when exposed to air. The shoes, recovered from an archive of objects excavated since the 1950s, are 24 centimeters long and consist of upper, shaft, and sole pieces sewn from goatskin with animal sinew. Archaeologists have been exploring the tombs for more than a century. Since the 1950s, 456 tombs have been studied in 14 excavations, yielding some 10,000 valuable relics. The hot, dry climate preserved many items that would otherwise have been destroyed, including 300 leather items. Ancient shoes have been found in other archaeological sites around the world. For example, hundreds of shoes or moccasins were found in a cave in Utah that was inhabited about 850 years ago. On the shores of the Great Salt Lake, 207 moccasins made from animal skins, mostly children's, were found. The soles of the shoes were made of full buffalo leather lined with fur and stitched at the heel, characteristic of the Canadian subarctic style. The presence of so many children's shoes indicates a thriving population, despite people leaving the region due to drought. These shoes were created by the promontory culture. In May 2014, the world's oldest pair of trousers was discovered in China. Archaeologists have found the remains of 2 nomads and 3,000-year-old patterned trousers in western China, supporting the theory that the switch from tunics to trousers was a practical decision for horsemen. It is impossible to say exactly when humans began making clothing due to the rapid decomposition of fabrics, but estimates range from 100,000 to 500,000 years ago. The first clothes were made from skins, fur, herbs, leaves, bones, and shells. The oldest dyed fibers were found in a cave in Georgia and are 36,000 years old. The body of a frozen man 400 years ago. In the Alps, archaeologists have discovered the body of a man who died approximately 400 years ago. Researchers believe that the man, found at an altitude of 3,600 meters above sea level, went to the mountains and froze due to bad weather. The man was dressed in rich 17th century clothing, indicating his high social position. He was probably a merchant or traveler. More than 150 gold coins, weapons, a dagger, a sword, and a pistol, leather boots, and the remains of mules were found on him. This incredible find gives us a unique opportunity to explore the lives and journeys of people in the early modern era. Clothing, personal effects, and other artifacts found with the body provide valuable information about the fashion, trade, and technology of the time. Scientists plan to conduct a thorough examination of the remains and artifacts to learn more about the life and death of this mysterious traveler. An ancient helmet that caused terror in the enemy. The burial, which is about 2,500 years old, was discovered by archaeologists in Croatia. In an Illyrian burial, they found an iron helmet that was likely a votive offering or part of a cultic practice. The helmet was found in a mound at the archaeological site of Gomila. The mound dates back to the period between the 6th and 4th centuries BC. On the territory of Gomil, there are several mounds located near the village of Zakatorek on the Pelješac Peninsula, next to the Adriatic Sea. Each mound has several graves, each containing several burials. According to ancient Greek records, the region was inhabited at that time by the Illyrians, who were divided into tribes and kingdoms. Gradually, the Romans conquered them. The found helmet has yet to be carefully examined, but according to scientists, it was preserved in perfect condition. The helmet was discovered in a stone structure separated from the graves in the mound. Archaeologists believe that the helmet was used in battle and could have a psychological effect on the enemy. Imagine a warrior with a shiny helmet on his head in the sun on the eve of battle. This moment alone can cause fear in the enemy. Ancient house in the Sinai Desert. In Egypt, archaeologists have discovered a 3,500-year-old structure in the Sinai Desert identified as a royal recreation area. The ruins of this fortified area were found at the archaeological site of Tel Habwa. The palace, intended for the rest of the pharaoh and his entourage, was built of mud brick. It was part of the fortified complexes built near the eastern gate of Egypt to house troops. Dating showed that the palace was built during the reign of Pharaoh Thutmose III, known for his military campaigns. The kings of ancient Egypt regularly made military expeditions to the eastern Mediterranean. The Sinai Desert was one of the routes of the Egyptian troops. The pharaoh's rest house was a strategic object, the center of the fortress, where the ruler and his army rested. Here the warriors recuperated and replenished supplies before their campaigns. The Stone Age may turn out to be wooden. Researchers believe that human ancestors knew how to process wood 3 million years ago. In 1836, Danish archaeologist Christian Jørgensen Thomsen proposed a chronology from the Stone Age to the Bronze and Iron Ages, which became the basis of archaeology. However, archaeologist Thomas Terberger is ready to rewrite history and believes that the Stone Age can be replaced by the Wooden Age. He suggests that wooden tools last as long as stone ones, that is, 2.5 or 3 million years. It's just that the wood decomposes faster. Primitive stone tools are characteristic of the lower Paleolithic, but wood has been found in only 10 of the thousands of archaeological sites from that era. Terberger led a study of wooden objects found in peat in a coal mine near Schöningen in Germany from 1994 to 2008. Among the artifacts were spears and throwing sticks dating from the end of the warm interglacial period 300,000 years ago. These discoveries upended the idea of human ancestors who were previously considered simple scavengers. People who lived before Homo sapiens created tools and hunting weapons, cooperated to hunt, and knew how to butcher game. 3D microscopy and micro-CT scanners found signs of wear on 187 pieces of wood. Until now, it was believed that only modern people were involved in wood processing. Among the finds were sticks, kitchen utensils, and household tools made of spruce, pine, and larch. The wood was cut down on a mountain 2 to 3 kilometers from the discovery site. The analysis showed that Stone Age people carefully processed wood following a certain order: removing bark, removing branches, sharpening tips, hardening in fire. Wooden tools turned out to be more complex than stone ones. Oldest known human viruses. Researchers from the Federal University of Sao Paulo have discovered the oldest viruses in the bones of Neanderthals, which are more than 50,000 years old. 2 Neanderthals whose remains were found in a cave in Russia have undergone DNA testing. The results showed traces of papillomavirus, sexually transmitted, and adenovirus, which causes colds, as well as other viruses. Both Neanderthals were men. Experts have long speculated that viruses may have contributed to the extinction of Neanderthals. This discovery may confirm this theory. The study suggests that Neanderthals may have been infected by the same viruses as modern humans. It has also been shown that it is possible to identify fragments of viral genomes in archaeological samples. Adenoviruses can cause a variety of diseases, from the common cold to acute gastroenteritis. Papillomaviruses are known to be associated with cervical cancer. The team behind the discovery plans to synthesize these Jurassic Park viruses to compare them with their modern counterparts. The remains were found in the Chagirskaya cave in the Altai Mountains in Siberia. They belong to a group of 9 people found in 2022 who were related. Researchers were able to sequence the genome of Neanderthals and find that viral traces did not end up in the remains of animals or modern humans. Archaeologists emphasize that viruses were not the only reason for the extinction of Neanderthals, but could play a role in this process. In the last video, I talked about an artifact that 2,000 years ago, now and in the future, will have the same shape and method of use. I also talked about where people in the Middle Ages found unicorn horns. Last meal. Researchers from the UK have studied the mummy of a crocodile caught in ancient Egypt. A fish with a hook was found in the stomach of a 2-meter predator, which caused the death of the reptile. The mummy, 3,000 years old, is housed in the Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery. During the time of the pharaohs, animals were often mummified, especially crocodiles, which were considered sacred. Using X-ray and computer scans, scientists virtually removed the hook and recreated a replica of it in bronze. Scans showed that during its lifetime, the crocodile had swallowed many small stones called gastroliths, which help break down meat and regulate buoyancy. The last prey died before reaching the stomach and was not affected by digestive enzymes or gastroliths. Scientists believe that the crocodile was specially caught using live bait, after which it was mummified as an offering to the god Sebek. Hjort Spring Rook. The boat was found in the Hjort Spring Bog in Denmark and is the oldest planked ship in Northern Europe, dating back approximately 2,300 years. The boat is almost 20 meters long, weighs 530 kilograms, and could carry 24 people with weapons and equipment. The boat's planks were made of basswood, the oars were made of maple, and there were curved extensions at each end. This boat is an outstanding example of ancient shipbuilding, showing the high level of craftsmanship and engineering knowledge of the time. Linden was chosen for its lightness and strength, which made the boat fast and maneuverable, and maple for the oars, for its hardness and stability. Ancient inscriptions of the pharaohs in the Nile. Archaeological divers at the bottom of the murky waters of the Nile in Egypt examined algae-covered rock formations. At first glance, the stones seemed unremarkable. However, upon closer examination, scientists discovered several inscriptions associated with the ancient pharaohs. A joint team of Egyptian and French archaeologists decided to explore the ruins in the reservoir in Aswan. Under a layer of algae, they found several carvings that were at least 2,300 years old. The images ranged from drawings of ancient Egyptian pharaohs to hieroglyphs. The photo shows several well-preserved carved figures. The shapes are blurred by water and quite difficult to distinguish. One set of lettering appears to be a row of mannequin heads above two objects that resemble tombstones. These ancient inscriptions are still being studied. Archaeologists believe that these finds will help to better understand how the ancient kings ruled in those distant times. Ritual table in Tava Tepe. In Azerbaijan, a team of Italian and Azerbaijani archaeologists discovered a 3,500-year-old ritual table in the ancient settlement of Tava Tepe. This place is located near the borders of Armenia, Georgia, and Azerbaijan. During the excavations, a round-shaped adobe building was found. The structure includes a kitchen area and a ritual table. Between 1500 and 750 BC, late Bronze Age and early Iron Age, nomadic peoples probably used Tawa Tepe as a resting place before traveling through the mountains. Archaeologists found a ritual table with 8 recesses and many ceramic containers, bowls, vessels made of black-fired ceramics, and long flat stones for mixing food. In the corner of the kitchen there is a thick layer of ash and clay tokens with fingerprints which could serve as food coupons. The entrance originally had wooden columns and a thatched roof covered the entire complex, which was about 15 meters in diameter. Animal bones and discarded pottery were found outside. The human figurines placed in the sacrificial pits and the fact that the structure was sealed along with all the utensils indicate its ceremonial nature. New species of dinosaurs in Siberia. In the Kemerovo region, Russian scientists discovered the skeleton of a dinosaur which turned out to be a previously unknown species. It was named Kia cursor longipes, which means long-toothed runner from the Kia River. The fossils were found after a huge rock fell from a rocky cliff with petrified bones sticking out of the rock. The skeleton was found on the territory of the Great Siberian Refugium, where relics of the Jurassic period were preserved: stem salamanders, primary crocodiles, and docodonts. Primitive mammals. The fossils were studied using X-rays, Connecticut scans, and microscopes. It turned out that the dinosaur lived in Siberia from 113 to 121 million years ago. The skeleton was partially preserved. Ribs, vertebrae, a humerus, both feet and legs, were identified. The specimen was classified as a ceratosaur, a group of running dinosaurs with 2 small legs. This is the first such discovery from the Cretaceous period in Asia. Until now, it was believed that ceratosaurs became extinct in this part of the world 40 million years earlier. The unique proportions of the hind limbs with an elongated third digit allowed it to run better. Zoologists determined that the dinosaur grew to 2.5 m in length and was an adult animal, but no older than 3 years. Sunken ship with lead ingots. About 2,000 years ago, a Roman ship sank in the Mediterranean Sea with valuable cargo, including massive lead ingots. The heaviest of them weighs 68 kilograms, which is about 205 Roman pounds, according to the University of Alicante. Markings on the ingot indicate that it belonged to a Roman emperor, possibly Nero. In addition, there were about 3,000 cans of fish sauce on board the ship. This sauce, known as garum, was popular in Roman cuisine and was widely used as a seasoning. The ship was about 32 meters long and was probably en route from Cadiz to Rome when it sank. The ship not only carried valuable metals but also foodstuffs important to the Roman diet. Exploring the shipwreck provides a unique opportunity to study the shipbuilding technologies and trading methods of the ancient Romans. Ancient stone circles in Saudi Arabia. Archaeologists in Saudi Arabia have unearthed 8 ancient stone circles that served as habitations for people more than 7,000 years ago. Some 345 such structures have been identified through aerial photography in the Karat Uwairid lava field near the city of Alula in northwestern Saudi Arabia. The stone circles range from 4 to 8 meters in diameter and include at least one standing stone in the center. During excavations, archaeologists discovered many stone tools made of basalt. Almost 225 kilograms of stone tools or their fragments were recovered from only 5 circles. Bones of sheep, goats, and cows were also found. The finds included a variety of seashells from the Red Sea, located about 120 kilometers to the west. The round shape of houses was a global phenomenon in early architecture, and rectangular houses appeared later in the Neolithic period. The architecture of standing stone circles in Saudi Arabia is similar to structures found in Jordan, dating back approximately 500 years. The people who built these structures also raised sheep, goats, and cattle. One of the most mysterious peoples of Europe. This altar is one of 4 known Larage altars, but the only one found during excavations. The artifact was discovered at the bottom of a well in the Donis Tebe monastery. On the altar there is an inscription: Valeria Vitella fulfills her vow to Lare freely and deservedly. Mount Ariaundi, inhabited since Roman times, is located in the valley of the Gulina River near Pamplona. Its strategic position has made the site important throughout history, as evidenced by the remains of Roman infrastructure and the later monastery dedicated to Saint Stephen. Little is known about Larak. Only 3 other altars testify to the worship of this deity. The new find expands the known geographical distribution of the Larage cult. Treasure from the seabed. Archaeologists have discovered 2 sunken ships from the Ming Dynasty in the South China Sea that have lain on the bottom for almost 500 years. More than 900 unique artifacts were found on these ships, from copper coins to fine porcelain. The Ming Dynasty is known for its artistic achievements and vigorous trade. Chinese ships sailed to India and Europe, where blue and white porcelain was extremely popular. Some ships ended their journey at the bottom of the sea, leaving behind time capsules. In 2022, 2 merchant ships were found at a depth of almost 1,500 meters and at a distance of about 22 kilometers from each other. In 2023, researchers began studying and collecting artifacts. Submersibles were used to retrieve objects, and cameras and lasers were used to create 3D maps. 890 objects were recovered from the first ship, including copper coins and porcelain. From the second, 38 artifacts such as deer antlers and ceramics. The ships may have sailed from Jingdezhen, a porcelain export center. The discovered items are striking examples of Ming-era art. The ships became important witnesses to trade and cultural exchanges along the maritime Silk Road. The longest mound in Europe. Archaeologists in eastern Bohemia have found the longest Neolithic mound in Europe, about 5,300 years old. The discovery was made in June during roadwork in the Hradec Kralove area. The mound near the village of Dogalice, about 190 meters long and up to 15 meters wide, belongs to the funnel beaker culture. Although the above-ground structure has been lost due to agricultural activity, archaeologists have excavated its entrance, identified by a preserved pit and ditch. Inside the mound, 2 central burials were found, probably belonging to important persons, and 28 additional graves. These burials will undergo further laboratory analysis for accurate dating. The first central burial included a pit with drains and post holes, as well as a ceramic offering vessel. The second burial had no internal structure, but the body was laid on its left side. Archaeologists also found funerary objects such as pottery fragments, flint arrowheads, and a blade. These finds provide valuable information about the burial practices and cultural traditions of the time. Ancient Roman supermarket in the ocean. Archaeologists have discovered an ancient Roman supermarket in the Channel Islands off the coast of France, where various goods were traded. Research began in 2008 and resulted in the discovery of 2 Roman coins pointing to this discovery. One coin shows Caesar as a teenager, another shows the emperor killed by the invading Goths. The island of Alderney, the northernmost of the Channel Islands, may have served the Romans as a trading post. Archaeologist Jason Monahan noted that remains of Roman buildings, including a grotto, were found here, indicating a continued Roman presence. They could monitor the ships bringing goods from the Mediterranean to France. Archaeologists believe that Roman soldiers lived on the island, controlling trade routes and protecting them from pirates. Families of soldiers and Roman officials may also have lived here. In 2017, using electrical equipment, Iron Age burials and parts of a Roman building were discovered on the island, confirming long-term occupation. Excavations revealed that the Roman-era building had 3 rooms: a courtyard, a paved area, and a rubbish dump where one of the coins was found, Antoninian, dating back to 255 AD, equivalent to 2 denarii. In another layer of the building was found a bronze coin of the Roman co-emperor Valens, dating from 367, who was killed at the Battle of Adrianople. The remains of a Roman fort were discovered approximately 27 meters from the building. Archaeologists believe many more Roman-era buildings may be hidden beneath the sand dunes, creating the effect of a mini Pompeii. Twice the weight of a whale. The prehistoric cow lived approximately 40 million years ago in water. German paleontologists from the State Museum of Natural History in Stuttgart discovered its remains in the south of Peru, where there was an ocean in prehistoric times. 13 vertebrae were found, each weighing 100-weight, 4 1.5-meter ribs and a giant femur. The excavation site was a shallow bay that divided the equatorial part of the continent in half. Scientists have determined that the remains belong to a creature that lived about 40 million years ago. The creature weighed approximately 340 tons. This makes it the heaviest animal to ever exist on Earth. Even the giant brontosaurs were lighter. After studying the find, scientists came to the conclusion that these huge creatures swam slowly, dived shallowly, and fed on what they found at the bottom: algae, mollusks, and small fish. In their lifestyle, they resembled sea cows, which people exterminated in the 18th century. Outwardly, they most likely also looked like sea cows, although in fact they were ancient whales of the genus Basilosaurus. City in the heart of the Sahara. Central Sahara in Niger is a territory practically inaccessible to people. Any tourist traveling south from the Mediterranean coast faces a huge number of obstacles. Giant dunes, sweltering heat, and drying winds create a landscape almost devoid of life. But those who penetrate the depths of the Great Desert are in for a surprise. Surrounded by sandy canyons on a lonely plateau are the ruins of the huge fortified city of Jado. These ruins, which range in age from 800 to 1,000 years, are a mystery. The city appeared when this part of the desert was much more humid and fertile. Little is known about the inhabitants of these places, and who built this city remains unknown. The fortified city of Jado is a Ksar, a typical North African fortified settlement. Such settlements typically consist of residential structures built around a central food warehouse, with an emphasis on defensive functions. Ksars like Jado were built from palm trunks covered with an adobe mixture, hardened by the desert winds to the hardness of metal. What sets Jado apart from most similar Ksars is its incredible size. The colossal fortress rises above the desert, making the rest of the landscape insignificant. The Kanuri people, who inhabit the desert in the center of the Sahara, were the last known inhabitants of this place. Perhaps they inherited the city from an older culture about which no data has been preserved. The turning point that forced the Kanuri to leave Jado was probably the drying up of drinking water. As the green landscape turned into desert, the water became brackish and the environment too harsh for survival. People lived on the Jado Plateau for about 60,000 years, leaving rock paintings and other evidence of their presence. Small cattle were bred here as early as 7000 BC, and cattle appeared around 3500 BC. Rock art discovered in the Air Mountains is approximately 5,500 to 4,500 years old. They depict a world with dense vegetation and an abundance of animals, completely unlike the modern landscape. Today, getting to the once great city can be difficult. This part of the world is unstable, and the tribes inhabiting the area are constantly fighting for limited resources. The Kanuri now live in the nearby desert village of Chirfa, but return to their ancestral site every year to harvest the dates. Strangely, the date palms continue to bear fruit. Kanuri is a remnant of the ancient Kanem civilization, which reigned in the Central Sahara from 700 to 1300 AD. The origins of this empire are shrouded in mystery, and it is unknown whether Jado was founded during this period or even earlier. If the Kanem built Jado, then excavations can reveal a lot about this culture. But if they inherited it, perhaps someday they will be able to discover something else, hidden from human eyes and protected by the desert, to reveal all its secrets. Portal to the Underworld. Last year, a unique artifact, the portal to the underworld, which was stolen and taken to the United States in the 1960s, returned to Mexico. Scientists recently completed restoration and returned it to its original location in central Mexico. This monument, created by the Olmec civilization, has long been considered a gateway to the other world. In the 1960s, it was kidnapped from Chalcatzingo, a famous Olmec archaeological site where it was depicting a mythical cat with gaping jaws, a symbol of entry into the spiritual world. The monument dates from the pre-classic period, created between 800 and 400 BC. The thieves smashed the artifact with hammers to make it easier to transport, but did not damage the main features. It was smuggled to the United States, where it ended up on the illegal antiques market. In 1968, the artifact ended up in a New York museum under the name Monster of the Earth. Archaeologist David Grove recognized the Olmec origins of the monument and noted similarities with other sculptures at Chalcatzingo, especially the Olmec cross-shaped eyes and bromeliad flowers near the mouth. Human blood on ancient mask. A gold mask from the Sican culture found on the northern coast of Peru contains traces of human blood. The Sican culture, which existed from 750 to 1375 AD, is known for its luxurious gold crafts, including funerary masks that were created during the Middle Sican period and often accompanied the elite in their tombs. In the 1990s, archaeologists excavated the tomb of one such elite. It contained a skeleton sitting upside down, painted bright red with cinnabar, with a gold mask covering a severed skull. Around the skeleton were the skeletons of 2 young women in labor and nursing positions, as well as 2 children. In a recent study, scientists analyzed the paint on the mask, identifying 6 proteins from human blood, including serum albumin and immunoglobulin G. Proteins from egg white, presumably from a Muscovy duck, were also found. Researchers believe that the presence of blood symbolized life force and could be linked to the idea of rebirth of the deceased. Nomoli figures. One of the most mysterious artifacts of the African continent is the Nomoli figures found in Sierra Leone, West Africa. These ancient sculptures, carved from stone, depict strange creatures with disproportionately large heads, bulging eyes, and other unusual features that are not typical of human anatomy. Some of them also depict scenes that can be interpreted as mythological or religious. The unique shapes and features of these figures have attracted the attention of not only archaeologists, but also supporters of theories about ancient astronauts. Some researchers believe that the Nomoli figures may represent images of extraterrestrial beings that may have been in contact with the ancient inhabitants of the region. According to them, the strange proportions and features of the figures may indicate that they were created under the impression of real creatures of extraterrestrial origin. This theory, although not scientifically proven, adds an aura of mystery to the Nomoli figurines and attracts the attention of ufologists and lovers of mysticism. Official science considers the Nomoli figurines to be religious or ritual objects, and it is believed that these artifacts were most likely used in ancient rites or rituals associated with the worship of gods or spirits, since they could symbolize certain mythological characters. As I have already told you before, when archaeologists or historians cannot explain the origin of an artifact, it necessarily becomes an object of religious significance. Interestingly, the Nomoli figurines are often found deep in the ground, sometimes together with other ancient artifacts, various iron objects or weapons, which complicates the task of dating them and establishing their cultural context. Some finds indicate that these artifacts could have existed in very ancient times, perhaps long before the appearance of known civilizations in this region. Ancient inscriptions of the pharaohs in the Nile. Archaeological divers at the bottom of the murky waters of the Nile in Egypt examined algae-covered rock formations. At first glance, the stones seemed unremarkable. However, upon closer examination, scientists discovered several inscriptions associated with the ancient pharaohs. A joint team of Egyptian and French archaeologists decided to explore the ruins in the reservoir in Aswan. Under a layer of algae, they found several carvings that were at least 2,300 years old. The images ranged from drawings of ancient Egyptian pharaohs to hieroglyphs. The photo shows several well-preserved carved figures. The shapes are blurred by water and quite difficult to distinguish. One set of lettering appears to be a row of mannequin heads above 2 objects that resemble tombstones. These ancient inscriptions are still being studied. Archaeologists believe that these finds will help to better understand how the ancient kings ruled in those distant times. Egyptian hieroglyphs in Australia. In a secluded corner of Australia on the shores of Brisbane Waters National Park are the mysterious carved symbols known as the Galsford glyphs. These symbols, carved on rocks in the forest, cause endless debate among researchers and lovers of ancient civilizations. The Galsford glyphs are a set of carved characters that resemble ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs in style. They depict various symbols, including figures of people, animals, and mystical creatures, as well as abstract signs and pictograms. These symbols are located on two large stone panels, and their content and origin are still a matter of debate. The similarity of the glyphs to Egyptian hieroglyphs gives rise to theories about possible historical contact between ancient Egypt and Australia. Some researchers believe that the glyphs may have been created by Egyptians who traveled or even became shipwrecked on the Australian continent. A series of drawings tells the story of two princes who arrived from Egypt, one of whom died and was buried in this place. Translations and interpretations of these symbols vary, but many agree that the texts on the stones contain elements of ancient Egyptian rituals and beliefs. This may indicate that the ancient Egyptians actually explored or even temporarily settled in Australian lands. Some symbols, such as the UFO glyph, are interpreted as images of unusual objects or phenomena, which only fuels interest in the place. Theories about the connection between Egypt and Australia are also supported by Aboriginal legends and artifacts found in Egypt that could indicate contact between the continents. For example, the discovery of tobacco and cocaine in mummies, plants that are indigenous to the Americas, suggests that ancient cultures may have had advanced navigational abilities and engaged in intercontinental trade. For ancient travelers, Australia may have represented not only a new land for exploration, but also a place of pilgrimage where new knowledge and resources could be gained. The exchange of knowledge and technology could be mutual, with the ancient Egyptians adopting unique methods of survival and knowledge of nature from the Aborigines. Gosford's glyphs confirm that human history may still have many unknown pages waiting to be discovered.
Pompeii managed to preserve history. In 79 AD, the city of Pompeii, a burgeoning center of trade and culture on the shores of the Tyrrhenian Sea, met its end. Residents of the city were taken by surprise by the powerful eruption of Vesuvius, a volcano that until then had seemed like a sleeping giant for many years. This eruption is shrouded in secrets and mystical omens because even the day of the disaster itself, according to some studies, was shrouded in an unusual atmosphere. Early in the morning, the volcano began to erupt colossal clouds of ash and gas, which rose to a height of more than 30 kilometers. Pyroclastic flows, a deadly combination of hot gas ash and volcanic bombs, instantly engulfed the city, consuming lives and freezing everything around them at the last second of their existence. An estimated 10,000 to 25,000 people died as a result of the volcanic eruption. The central areas of Pompeii were particularly hard hit, where houses and public buildings were buried under meters of ash and pumice. The volcanic ash that covered the city played a decisive role in the conservation of Pompeii. This thick layer made it difficult for air and microorganisms to enter, resulting in the amazing preservation of buildings, mosaics, frescoes, and even organic materials such as wood, textiles, and food. Frozen in time, the streets and houses of Pompeii provide an invaluable snapshot of ancient life frozen over millennia. Excavations at the Villa dei Papyri and Herculaneum have revealed astonishing artifacts including mosaics, statues, and more than 1,800 papyrus scrolls that belong to the library of the famous philosopher Philodemus. These scrolls are a treasure trove for historians and archaeologists as they contain works on philosophy, ethics, rhetoric, and poetry written from the 1st century BC to 79 AD. The study of these documents opens new pages in understanding the culture and spiritual life of the ancient Greeks and Romans, illustrating the sophistication of their thinking and breadth of knowledge. Modern technology plays a key role in studying these ancient texts. Techniques such as virtual unrolling and X-ray scanning allow scientists to read papyrus scrolls without physical intervention, eliminating the risk of damaging these fragile materials. Thus, Pompeii continues to be a testament to tragedy and at the same time a time capsule, providing a unique window into the past. Features of the Antikythera mechanism. In the depths of the sea off the island of Antikythera in 1901, a group of Greek divers encountered one of the most mysterious finds in the history of archaeology. They discovered a sunken ship that was carrying treasures from the ancient world, including statues, jewelry, and most strikingly, a complex piece of machinery that had been oxidized and littered with sea sediment. This object, which became known as the Antikythera mechanism, is shrouded in the mysteries of the past and is the subject of much research today. The mechanism, made of bronze, is a complex system of gears and levers consisting of 30 mechanical components housed in a wooden frame. The structure of the mechanism testifies to the high level of knowledge and technical skills of its creators. This artifact demonstrates an amazing mastery of metalworking and knowledge of astronomy. 3D scanning and X-ray tomography allowed scientists to delve deeper into the structure of the mechanism and understand its operation. These methods made it possible to examine every detail of the device without the risk of damaging it. Thanks to these technologies, it was discovered that the mechanism includes a series of gears capable of predicting the astronomical positions and ephemeris of the Sun, Moon, as well as other planets in the solar system. The main function of the Antikythera mechanism was astronomical modeling. The device was used to calculate and predict solar and lunar eclipses, as well as to determine the phases of the Moon and possibly the positions of the planets. This discovery greatly expanded the understanding of how advanced technology and scientific knowledge were in ancient Greece, confirming their ability to create complex computing devices many centuries before the invention of digital computers. However, many mysteries of the Antikythera mechanism remain unsolved. For example, the exact purpose of some components and scales, as well as the entire list of its functions, are not fully understood. In addition, it remains unclear who exactly created this mechanism and whether other similar devices were created that could provide additional clues about the technological advances of the era. The Antikythera mechanism remains a symbol of ancient Greek engineering, a reminder that the history of technology and science is still full of unexplored pages. Tomb of the Last Anunnaki King. Gilgamesh, king of Uruk, is one of the most important and mysterious figures in the history of ancient Mesopotamia. He not only became the central figure in one of the oldest epic poems, but also left a deep mark on culture and religion. Gilgamesh, whose name is still surrounded by mysticism, was an outstanding ruler whose achievements became the basis for many myths and legends. During his reign, Gilgamesh was known as a great builder, strategist, and warrior. He is credited with creating the massive city walls of Uruk, which protected the inhabitants from enemies and natural disasters. These walls, according to legend, were so impressive that the gods themselves took part in their construction. In addition, the reign of Gilgamesh is associated with a period of economic prosperity and cultural flourishing, which made Uruk an important center of the ancient world. Gilgamesh became a central figure in mythology thanks to the epic poem about his exploits known as the Epic of Gilgamesh. This literary monument, found in the library of the Assyrian king Ashurbanipal in Nineveh, describes the travels and adventures of Gilgamesh, his struggles with natural and supernatural forces, and his quest for immortality. This poem is not only an essential source for the study of ancient Mesopotamian culture, but also reflects the eternal human aspirations and experiences. Archaeological finds confirm the historicity of Gilgamesh. Excavations at Uruk and other Mesopotamian cities have uncovered many artifacts, including cuneiform tablets with texts and inscriptions mentioning his name. Of particular importance is the found tomb, which, according to some versions, may belong to Gilgamesh himself. This discovery, if confirmed, could be key to understanding the historical figure of Gilgamesh. Among the archaeological finds, particular attention is drawn to texts describing the Anunnaki, deities who played an important role in the mythology of ancient Mesopotamia. The Anunnaki, believed to be the descendants of the sky god An and the earth goddess Ki, were associated with the creation of humanity and control of its destiny. Theories about the influence of the Anunnaki extend far beyond Mesopotamia, linking them with other ancient civilizations and even with extraterrestrial visitors from the planet Nibiru. Comparing the Nibiru theory with other theories of cataclysms, such as the flood or the fall of the Tunguska meteorite, demonstrates a wide range of hypotheses about the origin and development of humanity. The discovery of Gilgamesh's tomb could shed light on many aspects of the life and reign of this legendary king, as well as confirm or refute numerous myths about him. What changed the earthquake in Lisbon? On November 1, 1755, Lisbon was rocked by one of the most destructive earthquakes in European history. The force of nature hit the city with unexpected power, causing tsunamis and endless fires that intensified the destruction. The epicenter of the earthquake, estimated at magnitude 8.5, 9.0 on the Richter scale, was located in the Atlantic Ocean near the Portuguese coast. The earthquake occurred in the morning when most residents were preparing to celebrate All Saints' Day, adding mystique to this terrible event. The destruction in Lisbon was colossal. About 85% of the city's buildings were destroyed, including important religious, historical, and public buildings. The victims of the disaster were, according to various estimates, from 10,000 to 100,000 people. Many died under the rubble, others were killed by the tsunami that reached the coast shortly after the earthquake. Many believers viewed the earthquake as God's punishment for the sins of mankind. This belief led to massive religious processions and public confessions in hopes of appeasing heaven. On the other hand, this event prompted some philosophers and scientists to think about the natural causes of such disasters, which contributed to the development of a scientific approach to the study of earthquakes. The restoration of Lisbon was taken under the control of the Marquis of Pombal, Prime Minister of Portugal, who took decisive and innovative measures. Pombal organized the construction of the new city using earthquake-resistant structures and strategic urban planning, which included wide, straight streets and earthquake-resistant buildings. These measures not only helped quickly rebuild the city, but also laid the foundation for modern urban planning methods. The impact of the Lisbon earthquake on the development of natural disaster response techniques has been profound. The Marquis of Pombal's approaches to disaster management and infrastructure restoration became the basis for modern emergency management techniques. His actions demonstrate the importance of responding quickly to crises, as well as learning from the past to minimize losses in the future. Despite significant efforts and achievements, many aspects of the Lisbon earthquake remain shrouded in mystery. Questions about the exact causes, mechanisms of the earthquake, and its long-term consequences for geology and society continue to concern scientists. These unsolved mysteries maintain scientific interest and stimulate continued research in seismology and civil protection. Unfinished antediluvian structure. In the mysterious valleys of Lebanon lies Baalbek, a city that holds the mysteries of ancient times. A newly discovered structure at the site adds new information, confirming Baalbek's unique significance to archaeology and world culture. For a long time, the megalithic architecture of Baalbek remained a mystery to scientists. The construction methods and reasons for creating such large-scale structures had no analogs. However, the latest discovery offers new interpretations and opportunities for understanding ancient civilizations. Baalbek, located in the Bekaa Valley, is known for its important role in the Hellenistic and Roman periods. Since its conquest by Alexander the Great, the city has undergone significant changes, becoming a bridge between Eastern and Western cultures. Greek culture left its mark on the architecture and art of Baalbek, as can be seen from the stylistic features of its buildings. The Romans, in turn, expanded and strengthened its status as a religious and cultural center by erecting magnificent temples and public buildings. The most famous buildings in Baalbek are the temples dedicated to Jupiter, Venus, and Bacchus. These temples are known not only for their magnificence, but also for the technical achievements embodied in their designs. One of the most significant elements is the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, a giant megalith weighing over 1,000 tons, which was never included in the final design of the temple. The discovery at the quarry in 2014 only added to the mystery surrounding these ancient construction methods. The find showed that ancient builders used technologies ahead of their time, raising questions about the origins and spread of ancient engineering knowledge. Comparing Baalbek with other ancient wonders such as Stonehenge and the Egyptian pyramids, one can see commonalities in the logistics and engineering approaches. For example, transporting the huge stones for Stonehenge or building the pyramids at Giza required not only physical resources, but also advanced planning and astronomical knowledge. Modern archaeological methods such as ground-penetrating radar and 3D scanning are opening new horizons in the study of ancient technologies.
The healing properties of Stonehenge. Stonehenge, surrounded by an aura of mysticism and ancient secrets, remains one of the most mysterious archaeological sites in the world. This monument, erected in the Neolithic and Bronze Ages, attracts the attention of researchers with its unique stones and mystical past. The archaeological finds around Stonehenge are striking in their diversity, from human remains to objects of everyday use. Among the most significant discoveries are numerous burials believed to belong to people who traveled here from various parts of ancient Britain and even Europe. Skeletons discovered in the Stonehenge area often show signs of surgery and other forms of medical treatment, suggesting that the site may have been used for healing. There are several theories regarding the original purpose of Stonehenge. Some scientists consider it an ancient astronomical calendar, others a place for rituals and holidays. But the hypothesis about Stonehenge as a center of healing especially attracts attention. This theory is supported by analysis of human remains and artifacts found in the area of the monument, many of which indicate pilgrimages of people in search of healing. Stonehenge's bluestones, brought from the mountainous regions of Wales, are unique in that their deposits are located more than 200 kilometers from Stonehenge, making their presence here a real engineering mystery. According to some researchers, ancient people could attribute special healing properties to these stones, which may have been the reason for their transportation over such a long distance. Archaeological evidence and scientific research support the theory of Stonehenge's medical use. Tests of the bones indicate that many of the people buried here suffered from serious illnesses or injuries and may have sought healing from these mystical stones. This function of Stonehenge fits into the context of a wider network of ancient beliefs and rituals common among Bronze Age peoples in Britain. In addition to healing, Stonehenge may have served as a community gathering place for rituals related to seasonal changes, the fertility of the earth, and the veneration of ancestors. The mysticism associated with Stonehenge remains the subject of much discussion and speculation. The mysterious stones continue to attract researchers and pilgrims, and each new discovery only adds depth to the research enthusiasm, shrouding this ancient monument in new layers of mystery and speculation about its true role in the ancient world. Alphabet of a Lost Civilization. Spanish archaeologists from the University of Barcelona discovered tablets with drawings of the Tartessian civilization of the Bronze Age. The excavations took place at Casas del Turunuelo in the southwest of the Iberian Peninsula, as reported by Spain's Supreme Council for Scientific Research. Tartessus was an ancient civilization that flourished on the Iberian Peninsula in the 8th century BC, known for its sophisticated writing. By the 4th century BC, the Tartessians disappeared. The found tablet, dating back to the 6th of 5 centuries BC, contains 21 symbols of Paleo-Spanish writing and a scene of a battle between 3 warriors. This find will help scientists learn more about the culture, clothing, and weapons of the Tartessians. The study of such artifacts opens up new perspectives in understanding this mysterious civilization and its disappearance. Women are not allowed to see this mask. Oxford University's Pitt Rivers Museum has removed from display a wooden mask made by the Igbo people of Nigeria. According to the beliefs of this people, the mask is forbidden to be seen by women, and only men are allowed to use it during ceremonies and rituals. The museum posted a cultural safety warning sign and removed the image of the mask from its website. The Igbo mask has deep cultural significance, symbolizing spiritual strength and protecting the tribe's traditions. It was used exclusively by men, which emphasizes its importance in religious and social rituals. Art critic Ruth Millington noted that denying all women access to an artifact because of one culture's taboo is an extreme measure. She believes that women should have the right to decide for themselves whether they want to see a mask, familiarizing themselves with its cultural characteristics. The oldest liquid wine. Spanish scientists have discovered a glass urn containing cremated remains and a liquid that turns out to be the oldest known wine in an ancient Roman underground mausoleum in Carmona. The age of the find is about 2,000 years. Carmona, located in Andalusia, was a major city in the Roman province of Baetica in the 1st centuries AD. The city preserves the ruins of an amphitheater and necropolis, where archaeological discoveries are still ongoing. In 2019, archaeologists found the entrance to an underground tomb believed to have belonged to a wealthy family. Inside, they found 8 urn niches, 6 of which contained cremated remains. One of the glass urns also contained a gold ring with an image of Janus and a red liquid. Chemical analysis confirmed that this is wine that has changed color due to chemical processes over 2,000 years. The use of wine in Roman funeral rituals is well documented. Wine was added to the urn after cremated remains were placed to aid the deceased in the afterlife. This find is an important evidence of Roman customs and confirmation of the longevity of their traditions. Previously, other interesting artifacts were found in the mausoleum, such as an ancient Roman ungventarium with the remains of a perfume made from patchouli essential oil.
Treasure from the seabed. Archaeologists have discovered 2 sunken ships from the Ming Dynasty in the South China Sea that have lain on the bottom for almost 500 years. More than 900 unique artifacts were found on these ships, from copper coins to fine porcelain. The Ming Dynasty is known for its artistic achievements and vigorous trade. Chinese ships sailed to India and Europe, where blue and white porcelain was extremely popular. Some ships ended their journey at the bottom of the sea, leaving behind time capsules. In 2022, 2 merchant ships were found at a depth of almost 1,500 meters and at a distance of about 22 kilometers from each other. In 2023, researchers began studying and collecting artifacts. Submersibles were used to retrieve objects, and cameras and lasers were used to create 3D maps. 890 objects were recovered from the first ship, including copper coins and porcelain. From the second, 38 artifacts such as deer antlers and ceramics. The ships may have sailed from Jingdezhen, a porcelain export center. The discovered items are striking examples of Ming-era art. The ships became important witnesses to trade and cultural exchanges along the maritime Silk Road. The longest mound in Europe. Archaeologists in eastern Bohemia have found the longest Neolithic mound in Europe, about 5,300 years old. The discovery was made in June during roadwork in the Hradec Kralove area. The mound near the village of Dogalice, about 190 meters long and up to 15 meters wide, belongs to the funnel beaker culture. Although the above-ground structure has been lost due to agricultural activity, archaeologists have excavated its entrance, identified by a preserved pit and ditch. Inside the mound, 2 central burials were found, probably belonging to important persons, and 28 additional graves. These burials will undergo further laboratory analysis for accurate dating. The first central burial included a pit with drains and post holes, as well as a ceramic offering vessel. The second burial had no internal structure, but the body was laid on its left side. Archaeologists also found funerary objects such as pottery fragments, flint arrowheads, and a blade. These finds provide valuable information about the burial practices and cultural traditions of the time.
Scientists brewed an ancient drink. Israeli researchers decided to plunge into the world of experimental archaeology and create a drink that our ancestors drank. It all started with the discovery of yeast residues in ancient clay shards during excavations in Israel. These specimens, dating back to 3000 BC, were found in various locations, including Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and an Egyptian brewery near the Gaza Strip. Archaeologists and microbiologists have teamed up to study and resurrect ancient yeast. Researchers were able to bring yeast colonies back to life and use them to create an ancient drink that tastes like the beer that the Philistines and Egyptians drank. For the experiment, scientists used recipes for ancient drinks, creating beer and mead. Some modern changes were made to the brewing process, such as the addition of hops, which were not present in the ancient Near East. This made it possible to create a drink with a unique taste, combining ancient traditions and modern technologies. According to Shmuel Naki, a brewer at the Jerusalem Beer Center, the drink tasted spicy, a little fruity, and very complex. Yeast played a key role in creating these flavor characteristics, confirming the importance of its use in brewing. The success of this experiment inspired scientists and brewers to further research. The team's plans include using the revived yeast to create new types of beer based on ancient recipes. This cooperation will not only expand the line of Israeli beer, but also provide a deeper understanding of the culture and traditions of ancient peoples. Grave of the Short Horses. French archaeologists discovered 9 large graves containing the remains of 28 6-year-old stallions buried on their right sides with their heads to the south and 2 dogs with their heads to the west. These finds, radiocarbon dated, date back to the end of the Roman conquest of Gaul and the beginning of the Roman Empire between the 1st century BC and 1st century AD. Experts are considering theories that the animals could have been buried after being killed in battle or as part of an elaborate ritual. The possibility of death from disease is unlikely. since only adult males were found in the graves. The remains are checked for parasites. The graves were found in Villedieu-sur-André in central France, where the foundations of ancient buildings, ditches, and a medieval road had previously been discovered. The first grave contained 10 complete horse skeletons, neatly arranged in 2 rows. A similar burial was found in 2002 in the Puy-de-Dôme, containing the remains of 8 warriors and their horses. Ancient structure in the Black Sea. Off the coast of Abkhazia, scientists, as part of an international underwater archaeological expedition, discovered important archaeological finds. Using special equipment and divers, they explored depths from 1 to 60 meters in the waters of the cities of Gudauta and Sukhum. The most significant find was the discovery of the remains of a medieval structure in Sukhumi Bay at the mouth of the Bezletka River, where the ancient city of Dioskuria was supposedly located. In this area, where an ancient stele had previously been found, archaeologists discovered semicircular masonry, probably a tower with attached walls. It is made of large pebbles. With lime mortar, the masonry contains ceramics. Due to the large amount of sand and silt in the water, it was difficult to photograph the object, so a detailed survey of it is planned for 2024 to 2025. In the waters of the city of Gudauta, archaeologists found many vessels from the ancient and medieval periods, including an amphora at a depth of 50 meters. Tried to treat cancer. A study of 2 ancient skulls yielded surprising results. They showed signs of cancer and traces of attempts to treat it. These findings show that the ancient Egyptians knew about cancer and tried to fight it. Signs of this disease included severe tissue destruction and small metastases. Particularly interesting are the cut marks around the lesions, suggesting that the Egyptians may have attempted to remove the tumors surgically. The ancient Egyptians were famous for their medical knowledge. They knew how to treat fractures, treat injuries, make prosthetics, and even fill teeth. However, their ability to treat cancer was limited. Scientists studied 2 skulls from the Duckworth collection at the University of Cambridge. One skull belonged to a 35-year-old man with signs of cancer and surgical interventions. The other skull belonged to a woman over 50 years old with cancerous lesions and signs of healed injuries. The researchers stressed that studying ancient remains is fraught with difficulties, with incomplete skeletons and a lack of clinical history making conclusions difficult. However, these findings provide new insights into ancient medical practices and highlight the need for further research in paleontology. Remains of a mammoth in Kyrgyzstan. On June 2nd, a tusk and fragments of the lower jaw of a mammoth were discovered in the floodplain of the Jurgalan River in the Issyk-Kul region of Kyrgyzstan. Archaeologists who arrived at the request of the Ministry of Culture found that the fragments were located at a depth of 5 meters and at a distance of 150 meters from each other. Due to the poor state of preservation of the bones, archaeologists took extra care to ensure their preservation, as bones deteriorate quickly when exposed to sunlight. Specialists were able to extract only part of the skull, which was cleaned and preserved on site. The discovery of remains in 2 different locations in the same quarry indicates that the area is promising for future finds. Officials called on citizens to ensure the safety of historical and cultural heritage sites and report findings to archaeologists. Ancient image of psychoactive mushrooms. The Tassili in Eger cave, located in the southeastern part of Algeria, is a real treasure trove of prehistoric art. This site is known for its rich rock art spanning thousands of years. Particularly noteworthy is a painting created about 9,000 years ago depicting a shaman with psychedelic mushrooms. This unique artifact provides a window into the spiritual and cultural practices of ancient hunter-gatherers. This painting was first documented by French archaeologist Henri Lotte and his team in the 1950s. They were amazed by the brightness and complexity of the images, among which stood out the figure of a shaman with mushrooms of the genus psilocybe, known for their psychoactive properties. The shaman is depicted with an ornate headdress and war paint indicating his ritual role. The shaman's posture and facial expression clearly demonstrate a state of trance. Psychedelic mushrooms played an important role in shamanic rituals, as evidenced by numerous examples from various cultures. In ancient societies, shamans used mushrooms to achieve an altered state of consciousness and communicate with the spirit world. The Tassili cave paintings indicate that similar practices existed in North Africa. The image of a shaman surrounded by mushrooms and other symbols carries a deep meaning. The headdress and coloring emphasize the high status of the shaman in society, and the mushrooms emphasize their sacred role in rituals. The trance state indicates the shaman's journey beyond the physical world, which was an important part of their spiritual practice. Guillotine of Caravaggio's Sanctuary. The guillotine was proposed as a humane method of execution by Dr. Joseph Guillotin in 1791. He believed that it would provide a quick and painless decapitation, unlike other methods that could cause long and painful agony due to the lack of skill of the executioner. However, long before the French Revolution, this device was already used in other countries. In Ireland and Scotland, the guillotine was called the Scottish Maid, in France, the furniture of justice, and in Italy it was known as the mandala. In one of the cellars in Italy, in the sanctuary of Santa Maria del Fonte, in the village of Caravaggio, there is a guillotine that predates the French Revolution by more than 2 centuries. The sanctuary of Santa Maria del Fonte is famous for the legend of the appearance of Saint Mary to the shepherdess on May 26, 1432. Under this monumental structure, there is a corridor divided into 5 sections. One of them contains a primitive guillotine associated with the legend of the miracle. In 1520, a robber sentenced to death repented and asked Mary for forgiveness. It is said that the guillotine refused to behead him, sparing his life. This is one of the miracles associated with Saint Mary. The guillotine in the sanctuary is different from the French one. It is small and primitive. The blade was secured under a heavy log which was released and slid along the guides, decapitating the condemned man.
Ancient wolf from permafrost. During an expedition in Siberia, an incredible discovery was made. An ancient wolf, surprisingly well preserved in permafrost. The discovered carcass of a wolf at a depth of about 40 meters near the Terektiak River in the Abiysky region of Yakutia was transferred to the Mammoth Museum in Yakutsk for further research. The condition of the wolf amazed scientists. After 44,000 years, fur, bones, organs, and even terrifying teeth were preserved. Experts are calling the discovery unprecedented because it is the oldest known wolf to undergo a necropsy. They hope that studying the stomach and other organs will shed light on the wolf's diet and environment. The stomach remained isolated and free of contaminants, providing an instant snapshot of ancient Pleistocene biota. Examination of its contents can reveal not only what the wolf ate, but also its prey. Judging by the wear of the teeth and the development of the sagittal ridge, it has already been established that this is an adult male. The study of ancient bacteria could help in the development of new drugs and biotech products, highlighting the enormous significance of this discovery for the future. This discovery not only reveals the secrets of the ancient world, but also opens up new horizons for science and medicine.
Ancient Roman coins in Israel. A recent discovery by archaeologists in Lod, central Israel, provides invaluable insight into the life of Jews in the ancient Roman era. During excavations, impressive stone and marble artifacts, inscriptions in Greek, Latin, and Hebrew, and a treasure of 94 coins were found among the ruins of the building. These finds, especially the absence of pig bones among the animal remains, indicate the building's connection to the Jewish community. Experts date the find to the time of the Jewish uprising against Constantius Gallus in 354 AD. Historians claim that the treasure was hidden during the uprising. Written evidence of these events is scanty, but it is known that large Jewish communities such as Lod, Zippori, and Tiberias were destroyed by Roman troops. 2 excavation experts, Shahar Crispin and Mor Wiesel, noted that the building likely served as a home for the city's elders. It was destroyed to the very foundation, which demonstrates the strength and brutality of the suppression of the uprising. According to experts, this is the only evidence of the scale of the uprising in Lod. This site was the most important Jewish center after the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem. The building, destroyed to the foundation, confirms the significance of the uprising and its suppression. The findings prove that Lod is one of the oldest cities in the world with a rich Jewish heritage from the Tannaitic period, where the authors of the Mishnah lived. It is still difficult to determine the exact purpose of the building: a synagogue, an educational institution, or a meeting place for elders. However, the size of the building, treasure, and other finds correspond to the description of Lod in Jewish and non-Jewish sources, where it appears as the center of Jewish life in the era of the Mishnah and Talmud. George Washington canned fruit. Archaeologists have found convincing evidence of the love of the first U.S. President George Washington for canned fruits and berries, especially cherries. This unexpected discovery was made while exploring Washington's country estate. In underground storage facilities, archaeologists found 35 glass jars with canned fruit, of which 29 were completely intact. Even whole pieces of fruit were preserved in the bottles. Experts determined that 12 containers were filled with canned cherries and the rest were probably filled with gooseberries and currants. Surprisingly, some fruits can even be edible after 250 years. This discovery is very impressive. Historical records document George Washington and his wife Martha's love of canned fruit, especially brandy-infused cherries. Martha Washington's Cherry Bounce cocktail recipe was also found. Archaeologists believe that the Washington servants and slaves were engaged in canning fruit. They possessed real skill, thanks to which the fruits have been preserved to this day. The cherry pits found will also be tested, and perhaps they will be used to grow trees that grew during Washington's lifetime. Alien creatures or unique people. In 2017, in a cave in the southern Peruvian city of Nazca, journalist and ufologist Jaime Mawson discovered 6 unusual mummies with elongated skulls and 3 fingers. He stated that they were alien creatures. The finds included 4 men, 1 woman, and an infant. Mawson presented the mummies before the Mexican Congress, claiming they were of alien origin. Despite his confidence, experts considered the mummies to be fakes. However, recent studies of one of the mummies, designated Maria M01, have yielded new unexpected results. Peruvian scientists analyzed Maria using electron microscopy and X-ray diffraction. It turned out that Maria has biological similarities with humans. Her bones smoothly pass under the mummified shell, and the elongated skull shows no signs of artificial deformation. The cranial vault shows atypical growth and development, and its volume is 30% greater than that of the average person. Maria is also distinguished by her lack of hair and ears, 3 fingers with 4 phalanges on her hands and feet, bulging eyes, and protruding jaws. Mary's feet have a unique structure. The calcaneus is different from a human's, suggesting it walked hunched over. Maria also suffered from arthritis and had a damaged spine. Maria lived during the same period as the Nazca civilization. This may indicate her connection with this culture. Previous DNA studies suggested that the mummies were modified remains of pre-Columbian people. The new study raises more questions than it answers. Scientists cannot accurately determine Mary's origins or her unique characteristics. Further research, including genetic tests, is needed to fully understand these remains. The fact that the ancient alien mummy bears many similarities to a real person further complicates understanding our past. Now it is even more difficult for us to understand who lived on our planet hundreds and thousands of years ago. Ancient treasure ship. The team of the One Expedition Research Project discovered a sunken Finnish ship from the late 19th, early 20th centuries at the bottom of Lake Ladoga at a depth of 34 meters. The ship sank, probably due to an explosion inside, which destroyed the wheelhouse. A binnacle, telegraph, and steering wheel were found on the deck. Ceramic cups with pearls were found in the hold. The ship features a Leviathan symbol on both sides, which may indicate its pirate past. The finds also included a ship's bell, ceramic vessels, a porcelain wash basin, and bricks with the inscription Höganäs, made in Sweden. The discovered artifacts will be sent to the Underwater Heritage Center for further study. These finds may shed light on the history and purpose of this mysterious vessel, which is of great interest to scientists. Communion set. A research project by the National Archaeological Institute made a rare find near Lake Tisa, a silver communion set and a hoard of 70 silver coins. These artifacts were discovered at the site of the ruins of a Benedictine abbey discovered in 2023. The silver set, consisting of a bowl and wafer stand, dates from the 14th century and was probably part of a burial. In addition, a treasure of 70 silver coins dating from the 13th and 14th centuries was found by volunteers during excavations. These finds indicate the rich history of the region and its importance in the Middle Ages. The Archaeometric Laboratory continues work on the analysis and restoration of these valuable finds. Artifacts dating from prehistoric times to the present day will provide insight into the history of the region and its role in Hungarian history.
5,000-year-old dwarven village. The village of Makunik, located on the border with Afghanistan, is unique for its small houses built thousands of years ago. The height of these houses does not exceed 1.5 meters, and modern Iranians can barely enter them without bending over. Inside these houses, local residents stood tall, as their height did not exceed 1.5 meters. The small stature of the inhabitants was due to a lack of food and vitamins, which slowed down the growth of bones. Also, marriages between close relatives due to isolation and lack of funds for travel contributed to this. Life in the village was difficult. The soil was poor, and the inhabitants grew only low-maintenance crops such as turnips and barley. The situation has changed with the development of infrastructure in Iran. The construction of roads made it possible to deliver a variety of food products to the village, including meat and grains. This resulted in each generation becoming 10 centimeters taller. Modern residents of Makunik are tall and healthy people thanks to subsidies and government support. Today, 700 people live in Makunika next to the small houses of their ancestors. They continue to farm, but now their bodies are strong and tall. The village's history illustrates how harsh conditions and poor soil made the inhabitants Lilliputians, and the development of infrastructure and government support restored them to normal growth and health. 1,000-year-old collection of medieval games. Archaeologists have discovered a collection of medieval gaming items in a forgotten castle in southern Germany. Among the finds are a well-preserved chess piece, game pieces, and bones dating from the 11th to 12th centuries. These items provide a unique insight into early gaming culture. Particularly significant is the found chess piece in the form of a knight, which dates back to the early period of the spread of chess in Europe. Laboratory tests showed that one of the sides played with red pieces. Traces of use on the figure indicate that the rules of the game have been preserved to this day. In the Middle Ages, chess was one of the 7 skills that a good knight had to master. This explains why many chess piece finds come from castles. In addition to the chess piece, floral game pieces and a 6-dot dice carved from antlers were found. These artifacts, found under the rubble of the wall, allow scientists to gain a deeper understanding of the gaming culture of the medieval nobility. In the future, the researchers plan to conduct further analyses to learn more about the origins of European chess and the significance of the games in the lives of medieval knights. List of Roman centurions. Polish archaeologists have discovered unique papyri with lists of Roman centurions who served in Egypt in the ancient port of Berenice. These rare documents were found along with Italian pottery, Roman coins, and a special buckle in the ruined office of a centurion. Berenice, located on the Red Sea, was built by Emperor Tiberius after the annexation of Egypt by Rome. The discovered papyri contain letters from centurions with the names Caesus, Licinius, and Petronius. In one of the letters, Petronius asks Licinius about the prices of exclusive goods and instructs them to be sent with legionaries on camels. These letters provide unique insight into the trade and daily life of the Roman military. Artifacts found alongside the papyri include Roman coins, brooches, and pottery from Italy, the Mediterranean, Africa, and India, demonstrating Berenice's importance as a trading port. The papyri were found on the western outskirts of Berenice in a unique zoological cemetery where numerous islands were also found, fragments of texts on ceramics. These finds shed light on the presence of Roman legionaries in Egypt and the importance of Berenice in the ancient Roman trade network. There's madness in his eyes. During excavations in Herculaneum, a city destroyed by the eruption of Vesuvius in 79 AD, an ancient bronze bust of the Roman Emperor Caligula was found. The 12-centimeter high bust was discovered in the 17th century, but its trace was later lost for almost 200 years. Experts believe that the bust was cast shortly before or after Caligula's death, about 2,000 years ago. The bust of Caligula depicts him with a high forehead, thin lips, a small mouth, and a prominent chin. The eyes of the sculpture unmistakably convey the madness that is often associated with this emperor. Caligula, the third representative of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, is known for his riotous lifestyle and incest. He was killed in 41 AD as a result of a palace coup. After its initial discovery, the bust was given as a gift to the famous English writer and politician Horace Walpole. Walpole admired the expressiveness of Caligula's face, believing that the emperor was captured at the beginning of his madness. The bust was kept in Walpole's mansion, Strawberry Hill House, and after his death passed through hands until it disappeared for 200 years. The bust was recently rediscovered by Oxford University historian Sylvia Davoli, calling the event fascinating.
Each object found helps to better understand the life of the ancient Romans. The bust of Caligula is an important archaeological find that sheds light on Roman history and culture.
Large-scale horse burials. French archaeologists recently made a surprising discovery in Villiers-sur-Indre, discovering 9 large burials containing the remains of horses that lived about 2,000 years ago. The burials contain 28 horses, carefully placed on their right sides with their heads facing south. The remains of 2 dogs were found nearby with their heads facing west. These finds date back to the period of the Gallic Wars, approximately between 100 BC and 100 AD, when Julius Caesar was actively engaged in military operations. The burials attracted the attention of archaeologists for their features. The horses, only 1.2 meters tall, were typical of Gallic breeds. The method of their burial was similar to those previously found in other regions of France, indicating a possible ritual or ceremonial nature. Interestingly, all the horses found were adults, which rules out common diseases as the cause of their death. Scientists from France's National Institute for Preventive Archaeological Research are analyzing the bones to determine whether the horses died in battle or were part of an elaborate ritual. To solve the mystery, researchers took DNA samples from the bones and surrounding sediments to determine whether the horses were Gallic or used by Roman units.
Ruins of an American hospital in France. Archaeologists have discovered the ruins of an American military hospital in Gagnery-du-Tertre, the commune of Savonay in northwestern France. This medical facility was built to prevent American soldiers from being dependent on French hospitals. During World War I, several hundred of these hospitals were built across the country, ranging from field hospitals to large complexes, capable of treating up to 25,000 wounded and sick. The excavations found medical vials, combs, buttons, a smoking pipe, a medical clip, a razor, a watch case, cups, and shoes. These artifacts provide insight into daily life in the hospital. The hospitals were strategically located near the ports of Nantes and Saint-Nazaire, close to the main railway lines. American hospital complexes functioned as self-contained cities with their own sewerage and water supplies. Some even had their own railway connections. The excavation site was divided into 2 parts. One was a fenced area to protect the hospital, the other was 20 pits with construction waste and artifacts. The Glozelle Tablet. In 1924, clay tablets with mysterious symbols and images were discovered in the small village of Glozelle in France, causing a heated debate in the scientific community. These artifacts, found by a young farmer, Émile Fradet, were so unusual that they could not be linked to any known ancient civilization. The tablets contain symbols and images reminiscent of ancient writings, but their origin and meaning remain unclear. Some researchers have hypothesized that the Glozelle tablets may be evidence of a lost or unknown culture that developed in the region thousands of years ago. Another more radical theory suggests that the tablets may be traces of extraterrestrial intervention, although there is very little evidence for this. However, the authenticity of the tablets remains in question. Since their discovery, scientists have conducted numerous studies to understand whether they are real ancient artifacts or skillful forgeries. To date, none of the versions have received definitive confirmation, and the Glozelle tablets continue to be one of the most mysterious archaeological finds of the 20th century. Metallic objects from Gaius. The La Mana caves in Ecuador have attracted the attention of not only archaeologists, but also fans of mysticism and ufology for many years. The story of the discovery of metal objects in these caves is shrouded in mystery and mysticism. According to legend, metal plates were discovered in La Mana with symbols engraved on them that resemble modern diagrams, maps, and even technical drawings. These findings became the basis for hypotheses about the existence of an unknown civilization in the distant past that possessed highly developed technologies, or about contacts between ancient people and extraterrestrial beings. Supporters of these theories argue that such complex and detailed symbols could not have been created with primitive tools and should indicate more advanced knowledge. Some researchers even suggest that the plates could have served as star maps or technological instructions left by aliens. However, most scientists are very skeptical about these findings. There is no conclusive evidence that the metal objects from La Mana are indeed ancient. Some experts point to possible traces of modern metalworking and the inconsistency of these artifacts with styles and technologies known in ancient Ecuador. Moreover, there is a lack of reliable dating and context for the objects, which further undermines their authenticity. Archaeologists believe that these artifacts may have been created in a later period, perhaps as part of a hoax or to attract tourists. Thus, despite the fascinating and mysterious story of the metal objects from the caves of Lamana, their origin and meaning remain in question. The story of the caves of Lamana is an example of how myths and legends can intertwine with reality, creating fascinating but often unreliable stories about our past. Mysterious accessory from the future. Archaeologists have discovered wall carvings depicting objects similar to modern handbags. Some of these images are about 12,000 years old. The earliest were found in Turkey in the ruins of the megalithic temple of Göbekli Tepe, where strange images are engraved on the columns of the ancient temple. Similar motifs have been discovered in Mexico, Iraq, and South America, raising many questions about the possible use of such objects by ancient civilizations. Although the images resemble handbags or clutches, experts believe the ancient ruins are more likely to depict baskets. Some believe that the concept of a handbag may have been invented by ancient civilizations. The first modern bag appeared in 1841 in England, created by Samuel Parkinson. The problem is that the Göbekli Tepe temple was built in 9000 BC, and its builders could hardly have known about such an accessory. Another ancient example of a handbag was found in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs written about 5,000 years ago, where the gods hold a small square object symbolizing prosperity. Archaeologists have indeed found remains of baskets and tool bags used by the ancient Egyptians, but they cannot yet say for sure what is depicted in the hieroglyphs. Similar discoveries were made in Iraq, among the ruins of an Assyrian palace built between 883 and 859 BC, which depicts a genie with wings holding what appears to be a handbag. Historian David Miano believes that these figures, called Apkallu, were minor deities who carried water buckets made from sacred date palms rather than purses. Ancient buckets similar to the engravings were actually found in Iraq. Similar motifs have also been found in Mexico among Toltec ruins, where giant statues hold objects resembling handbags. These statues were created around 750 AD.
Sarcophagus of Lord Pakal. Lord Pakal, also known as Pakal the Great, was the ruler of the city of Palenque in the Mayan civilization. He reigned from 615 to 683 AD and is known for his significant contributions to the city and its culture. Pakal the Great left behind many architectural achievements, including the Temple of the Inscriptions, in which his sarcophagus was discovered. The lid of Lord Pakal's sarcophagus is decorated with complex images that have given rise to many interpretations and debates. It depicts Pakal sitting in an unusual position, surrounded by symbols and hieroglyphs. Its position and surroundings have given rise to various interpretations, including theories about contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. Erich von Däniken, a proponent of the ancient alien theory, interprets the images on the sarcophagus lid as evidence of Mayan contact with aliens. He claims that Pakal is depicted in the position of a spaceship pilot, with his arms, legs, and back supposedly controlling some kind of device. According to Däniken, this indicates that Pakal could be associated with extraterrestrial technology. Archaeologists and historians offer alternative explanations. They believe that the images on the sarcophagus symbolize Pakal's journey to the afterlife and his connection with the Mayan deities. Pakal's pose, in their opinion, represents him as an intermediary between the earthly world and the world of spirits, and not as a pilot of a spaceship. Could Lord Pakal really be an alien? This hypothesis remains highly controversial and lacks scientific evidence. Despite the interesting interpretations proposed by Däniken, most scientists tend to consider these theories fantastic and not based on real data. Other artifacts found at Palenque and other Mayan cities support traditional interpretations. For example, numerous inscriptions and images show scenes from Mayan life, their religious rituals and mythological beliefs. These finds confirm that Pakal and his sarcophagus were part of the Mayan cultural and religious context, rather than evidence of extraterrestrial contact. Dragon houses and Mount Ojai. The dragon houses on the island of Euboea in Greece are mysterious megalithic structures that amaze with their massiveness and precision. These ancient structures, built from huge stone blocks without the use of binding mortar, date back to around the 8th century BC. Legends associate dragon houses with the gods, particularly Zeus, and describe them as places of sacred rituals and the habitat of ancient dragons who guard these territories. Mount Ohai, where some of the dragon houses are located, is considered a place of contact with the gods due to its remoteness and majestic location. In ancient Greek mythology, mountains were often associated with the abodes of the gods and places of their manifestations. This mountain, towering above the surrounding landscape, could be perceived as a sacred place where divine meetings and rituals took place. Archaeologists face many difficulties when studying these megalithic structures. One of the main mysteries is how the ancient builders were able to transport and lay such huge stone blocks on the tops of the mountains. The logistics and technical aspects of their construction remain unclear, especially given the lack of modern tools and equipment. There is also no exact data on the time and purpose of the construction of these structures, which complicates their study and interpretation. According to legend, Zeus used these places for his meetings with people and other gods. The dragons mentioned in legends could be symbols of his strength and protection of sacred places. There is a theory that the dragon houses could be places of contact with aliens. Proponents of this hypothesis argue that the unusual architecture and precise geometry of these buildings indicate the possible influence of extraterrestrial civilizations. They believe that the ancient Greeks may have interpreted encounters with aliens as contacts with the gods, which was reflected in their myths and legends. Hieroglyphic staircase in Copan. The ancient city of Copan, located in the western part of modern Honduras, is known for its outstanding architectural structures and many monuments testifying to the high development of this civilization. One of the most famous monuments in Copan is the hieroglyphic staircase, which is considered one of the largest and most complex Mayan inscriptions. The hieroglyphic staircase at Copan consists of 63 steps, on which more than 2,200 hieroglyphs are carved. This staircase serves as an important source of information about the dynastic history of Copan and its rulers. The hieroglyphs on the staircase tell of the exploits and achievements of the kings, as well as the religious and ritual events associated with their reign. Ernst Forstemann, a prominent German scientist, played a key role in deciphering Mayan hieroglyphs. In the late 19th century, he made significant advances in understanding the Mayan writing system, which allowed him to read many texts, including those on the hieroglyphic ladder. Mayan hieroglyphs are a complex writing system combining phonetic and ideographic elements. Modern technology has greatly advanced the study of Mayan hieroglyphs. Using 3D scanning, photogrammetry, and digital analysis allows researchers to create accurate models of hieroglyphic texts and analyze them in great detail. Machine learning and artificial intelligence technologies help automate the processes of decoding and comparing texts, which speeds up and facilitates the work of scientists. Asteroid influence and contact with the gods. The asteroid, believed to have wiped out the dinosaurs some 66 million years ago, has left a significant mark on the Yucatan Peninsula. This impact created the Chicxulub crater, which is still an important geological feature. Although this cataclysm occurred long before the emergence of the Mayan civilization, its long-term geological and environmental consequences may have influenced the formation of the region in which the culture later developed. Archaeological finds, such as cities and buildings destroyed and buried under a layer of sediment, may indirectly confirm the theory of cataclysms that occurred in Yucatan. However, there is no direct evidence that the Mayans knew about the asteroid that destroyed the dinosaurs or had any information about them. The idea that the Mayans may have had contact with dinosaurs is scientifically unfounded. Dinosaurs went extinct long before the first humans appeared, not to mention the Mayan civilization. However, in mythology and their art, one can find depictions of creatures that can be interpreted as legendary or mythical animals, but this is not evidence of their actual contact with dinosaurs. Researchers sometimes find dinosaur fossils in Mesoamerica, but these findings date back to a time before human history. Such finds may be of interest to geologists and paleontologists, but they do not support the theory of Mayan contact with dinosaurs. Knowledge of ancient cataclysms may have been integrated into their mythology and beliefs, linking natural phenomena to the actions of the gods. The Mayans believed in cyclical time and recurring catastrophes, which may have been a reflection of their understanding of the past and prediction of future events. Chinese mythology and Huangdi. Huangdi, also known as the Yellow Emperor, is one of the key figures in Chinese history and mythology. He is considered the first emperor of China and a cultural hero who laid the foundations of Chinese civilization. Huangdi personifies a wise ruler and a great reformer whose deeds and achievements deeply influenced the development of Chinese culture and society. According to legends, Huangdi descended from heaven on a dragon, which symbolized his divine origin and connection with heaven. The dragon in Chinese mythology symbolizes strength, wisdom, and power, and its association with Huangdi emphasizes the divine character of the emperor and his special role in Chinese history. Huangdi is credited with numerous achievements in the development of Chinese culture. Among them was the invention of the compass, which became a key tool for navigation and feng shui. He is also considered to be the creator of the first written characters, which marked the beginning of Chinese writing and literature. Huangdi introduced a calendar system that is still used in traditional Chinese holidays. He is also credited with contributions to medicine, including acupuncture and herbal medicine. There is a theory that dragons in Chinese mythology may be interpretations of spaceships. Proponents of this hypothesis suggest that the ancient Chinese may have described encounters with highly advanced extraterrestrial beings and their technologies in the form of myths about flying dragons. In this context, the dragon on which Huangdi arrived could be a symbolic representation of a spaceship or other aircraft. Archaeological and historical evidence supporting theories about Huangdi and dragons remains controversial and ambiguous. Excavations and research into ancient texts continue, but so far there is no clear evidence to support the spaceship hypothesis. Most scholars adhere to traditional interpretations, viewing dragons as mythological creatures, symbolizing natural forces and divine authority. Give this video a thumbs up and tell your friends about it. Thank you for watching to the end and going into the distant and mysterious past with me. See you in new videos.